ESPN and the National Association of Stock Car Auto Racing present the Winston Cup Series on the banks of Michigan Speedway.
In racing like life, history is our greatest teacher. Here in Michigan, we've learned it requires muscle to make your moves.
They bump, they touch, they rub, going down the backstretch, side by side, wheel to wheel. It's going to be a photo finish. They touch, coming down through the triangle at the line. Who wins it? I believe it's
The colors and numbers change with time, but the math at Michigan is always the same. One driver plus 700 horses.
And Dale Jarrett's got a great run off the corner. I think he's going to get him, Ned.
He doesn't. He's in the lead.
The mystery of racing has more questions than clues. Jeff Gordon won with gas mileage at California.
He's going to do it. Jeff Gordon wins the California 500.
But so far, Gordon is the bow tie's only black tie this season with his 8 wins, while the Ford fraternity has seen 7 of its talented brothers share the glory of the winner's circle. Gordon. The question remains, in '97, is Ford a better idea? No matter what the manufacturer, the motor is the key here. Maybe they call it horsepower, but without manpower, these horses can't get out of the gate. Now, maybe you're a relatively new fan to NASCAR Winston Cup Racing. Maybe you just met somebody who really loves this sport. Here's what you need to know today. If your chassis is hooked up and your driver can pull the rest of the field off the turns and has the horsepower he needs, he's going to have a lot of open throttle time. That allows him to generate the high RPMs that it takes to win on a high-speed facility. Unless it comes down to a fuel consumption endurance test, in which case conservation is critical. What does all that mean? The fastest guy should win unless he runs out of gas.
The wide open straights and turns of the Michigan Speedway gives drivers plenty of room to run. If someone makes a mistake in front of you, you have the room to miss it. The track is also wide enough to allow different lines to pass. On the inside, on the outside, and just about every line in between. 3, 4, and 5 wide in the turns. It's non-stop excitement. There's room to run. There's room to correct your mistakes. Caution flags are usually few and far between here in Michigan because there is room to run, and that will put a premium on gas mileage. Sure, the favorites' names have not changed, Martin, Gordon, and Jarrett, but the guy who winds up in victory lane could be the guy who pulls off a fuel mileage shocker.
It's no secret with a little luck you can go a long way here in Michigan, but only after you charm the gods of gas mileage.
And 28 is slowing down. In turn 1, very, very slow. There he is on the bottom of the racetrack.
This is the NASCAR definition of slash and go. 3 seconds. Ray Abraham counts it off. 1, 2, 3.
And it's out of fuel. It is out of fuel for the second corner. Jeff Gordon is just backing up a little bit, trying to save every drop of fuel he can.
And Mark Martin apparently is out of gas.
Johnny Benson was coming in this lap, but he radioed the crew that I am out of gas.
Unbelievable. I'm not a gambler, Jerry, but I want to tell you what, I was pretty nervous.
The nerves and fears of today concern not how fast you go, but how far. With gas mileage, a critical element. Remember the number 50, folks. If you can make it to 50 laps, you can make this a 3 pit stop race. But exactly what controls fuel mileage in the carburetor? Let me show you these little gizmos right here called jets. The one on the left of your screen with the big hole, that's a qualifying jet. Lots of fuel, lots of horsepower, but you only run 1 lap. The one on the right of the screen, the small hole, that's a race day jet. Now you got to be concerned about that because, yes, you lose 20 horsepower, you save gas, and you add 10 laps to get that critical number 50, but if you go too lean, too thin, you could burn a piston, and that could also cost you. So in other words, in the critical game of gas mileage, there's a very slim margin between those who finish first and those who fail to finish.
Folks, you give the driver the power to run fast. That's exactly what he's going to do. Ned, if they save fuel, it'll have to be done in the garage before the race.
Yeah, they didn't make that decision today or won't make it during the race. They started making it yesterday in happy hour to put those little jets in that Jerry talked about, to put a higher gear in it so that it won't turn as many RPMs. Back the timing off a little bit. Takes away horsepower, but also gives you better gas mileage. But if the cautions fall just right, those that have the horsepower have a better chance to win.
We got to get to the grid here. I'm Bob Jenkins. We're less than a lap from the green flag. Here's the lineup. On the pole is Johnny Benson, his second career pole and his first of 1997. On the outside of the front row, a guy who's won this race twice, Mark Martin. The second row has Ricky Craven and Dale Jarrett. In row number 3, it's Jeff Burton and Bobby Labonte. The fourth row, Ted Musgrave and Ken Schrader. The fifth row has Dick Trickle and Jeff Bodine. And take a look at the rest of the starting lineup while we keep an eye on this weather situation. There is a lot of rain in the area. It isn't raining here right now, and hopefully it won't for the next 3 hours.
We hope it won't, because, folks, it is tough. The decisions these teams are going to have to make with rain in the area. It's so tough.
I expect a lot of them are thinking, hey, let's gear ourselves and plan our strategy right now to try to go 101 laps. That's halfway. Hoping that the rain will stay away all day, but get yourself in position, be up towards the front in case it does come, and to get half of this race in.
And they decided to go one more lap here before we get to the green flag, so it'll be one more before the start of the race. 200 laps around this 2-mile track, 400 laps of competition. There you see the remainder of the starting lineup. Gary Bradbury is in the 78 car this week, along with Bobby Hamilton there in the 18th row. The 19th row is Strickland and Brett Bodine. The 20th row, provisional starters, Ward Burton and Jimmy Spencer. Row number 21, Lake Speed and Kenny Wallace. And taking his second previous champions provisional in the last 3 races is Rusty Wallace. And there was only one driver that came here and failed to qualify. That was Dave Marcus. The Manufacturers Championship has Ford on top by 154 points over Chevrolet with 136 and Pontiac with 90. There are 21 Fords in today's starting lineup, 14 Chevys and 8 Pontiacs. We had some debris on the racetrack. That's why we have gone this extra lap. Here is the onboard camera with Rusty Wallace.
Starting back in 43rd spot. Long way to go. Michael Waltrip, Sitco car. Starting 31st. As we work our way towards the front, there's Bill Elliott, the McDonald's Ford. Oops, we went all the way to the front.
And now there is rain reported on the racetrack, so we will not go green this time around.
Oh, no.
Jeremy Mayfield, Kmart car. Also, this is Bobby Labonte's car. And there's the third place starter of Ricky Craven, the Budweiser car.
And finally, up in the front row, Mark Martin carries our in-car camera on the outside of row number 1. Well, NASCAR has made a great effort to get this race started as quickly after 12:30 as possible. We had debris on the racetrack, and now very slight raindrops are reported.
I saw a couple of raindrops on the camera of the helicopter, looked like, when the Pennzoil copter cam.
Okay, it's not too heavy, Bob. It looks like they're going to give them 1 lap to go now.
Yep, we haven't really had any rain to speak of since early morning. Well, let's hope it stays away here. Let's take a look at the point standings. This is at the end of 20 rounds of the 1997 NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. And Jeff Gordon is on top by 109 over Mark Martin. That's more than any leader has ever enjoyed as far as the points margin is concerned. 6 of the top 10 in the points have won a race here at Michigan, and Bill Elliott down there in 10th position in the points has won 7 times at this facility. Let's go down to Jerry Punch.
Guys, we talked about how important fuel mileage is at the beginning of the race. That's why a lot of these teams wanted to run only 2 pace laps and drop the green flag. They want to try to get to lap 50. Now they've run 3 pace laps, and so you might wonder, why wouldn't some of the teams starting in the back of the pack come on the pit road on an extra lap and top off in fuel? Well, NASCAR radio the crew says anyone that comes on the pit road and tops off prior to the green flag will be asserted a 1-lap penalty. That's why no one came down to top off. Bill?
I want to talk about points, and a lot of them on the line here. Of course, the same for every race. But the Roush team really wants to pick up some points here. Mark Martin, 109 behind Jeff Gordon. Then there's Jeff Burton, who's 352 behind. Can he still catch Gordon in the chase for the championship as we head down the stretch? That race begins right here. John Kernan?
Well, I'm in Dale Earnhardt's pit. I want you to keep an eye on the Intimidator. He starts 28th today. A lot of you probably saw that double spin in turns 3 and 4 yesterday during happy hour. Well, it spun the motor backwards. So this morning, as we take a look at it now, you see he was underneath the car, falling all back. Now he's spins around twice. It spun the motor backwards, so there was some concern that there would be a problem with the motor, so this team changed motors this morning, so keep an eye on Earnhardt, guys.
All right, the pace car pulls off, and we are set to go racing in the DeVilbiss 400 here at Michigan Speedway. Green is waving. Has never led a lap here in Michigan. He's in the lead right now as they come off four. And Benson leads the lap.
Jeff Burton makes it 3 up. Wide, 1-1.
Well, you can pick up draft here at the Michigan Speedway. They get close to 200 miles an hour going into turn 1. So if you get the draft just right on someone, you can shoot right past them. Burton going by Bobby Labonte.
Dale Jarrett way down on the inside of the racetrack with the left side tires on that white line. But he loses a few positions.
Looks like the high line right now is the way to go. Jarrett's car is running on the bottom of the racetrack, and he has lost, as you said, 4 or 5 positions set to start.
The battle is for 5th positions. First 4 cars running in single file. Back here is Schrader, Jeff Burton, and Ted Musgrave.
Martin coming back on the inside of Ricky Craven, trying to take over second.
At the line, Mark Martin with about a half a car length advantage on second place Craven. But Ricky fights back in turn 1. 3 abreast racing back here with Terry Labonte in the middle. And now you can see that Rick Craven did maintain that second spot.
Burton, 99, still trying to get by Schrader, 33. Burton just can't get his entry into the corner right, but this time Musgrave tries to take advantage of that, moves to the outside.
And runs up on Kenny Schrader. Boy, he runs up close on him. And now Burton caught down on the inside like Dale Jarrett was a little bit ago and loses some positions. You're right, Benny, that outside groove looks like the place to be right now.
Look at Musgrave going the inside of Schrader, trying to take over 5th spot. When they come off that corner, they seem to lose momentum.
And side by side, Burton back there, and now Ricky Craven took a shot at Johnny Benson, who's the leader of the race, but couldn't pull off the pass.
And Bob, you wonder why it doesn't he go just drive it on down in there. There's plenty of room to do that, but he might wind up like Dale Earnhardt yesterday, spinning around if he goes down in there.
Back here to Ken Schrader, Ted Musgrave, Jeff Burton. That's 5th, 6th, and 7th. And 8th position is Dale Jarrett, as you see a Napa Field summary. Here's Jerry Punch down on pit road.
You're watching Musgrave and Jeff Burton come off the turns. This morning, they decided in Team Roush that both the 16 and 99 would go to a higher gear. They would sacrifice the momentum coming off the corner to be able to have fuel mileage, whereas their teammate, Mark Martin, went to a lower gear. He wanted to be able to jump that car off the corner and have a shot at passing. Right now, most of the passing is being done by the big Budweiser car number 25.
Boy, Johnny Benson is acting like he has something to prove here this afternoon. Ricky Craven has gone into the lead, and Mark Martin has gone to second, but Benson has been very assertive here in the early going, keeping his car in the middle of the racetrack while a lot of others are down on the low side.
This is Johnny Benson's home state, up in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Ricky Craven is in the lead here at Michigan Speedway in the DeVilbiss 400. We'll be back in just a moment. Aerial coverage of the DeVilbiss 400 from Michigan Speedway is being brought to you by the more than 1,650 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. By Team Monte Carlo Chevy, the cars more champions trust. And by Quaker State, the quality your car deserves.
We have a battle for the lead, Bob.
A very good battle for the lead, as a matter of fact. Craven and Mark Martin are going at it side by side.
And look at Musgrave trying to go with his teammate Martin. And Benson on the outside.
Tried to make it 3 wide there, but Craven jumped up in front of it there.
The Jack Roush cars lined up at the bottom of the racetrack. Oh, Craven got loose there in the second turn.
So give Mark Martin the lead. Here comes Musgrave. And Jeff Burton trying to follow Musgrave right now. But the Jack Roush car, 1, 2, 3.
They had an impressive performance in happy hour last night. And they picked up where they left off then.
Let's see how fast they're running. We'll give you the speeds at the line this time by. We'll see the leader ran 177. We go back in the back. We see 178 back for Jeff Gordon. 178.3.
Also a good lap for Jeff Bodine in number 7, but 28, 24, 36, and 4 were all above 178.
Yeah, look at Ernie Irvin. He started 20th. He now is up to 10th, taking over 9th. Jeff Bodine coming with him in the gold number 7. New color for Jeff Bodine this week.
Jerry Copeland, the 36 car, the rainbow color car behind the rainbow 24.
One position on the first lap, and at the end of 11 circuits, he has picked up 9 positions.
Dan has picked up a couple of more.
The 77 car of Morgan Shepherd slowed down. Bill, what's going on?
Morgan very, very loose right now. They speculate they may have a shock absorber problem. They're going to try and get him to ride it out.
Labonte and Dale Jarrett side by side. This is the battle for the 7th position.
Ooh, Jarrett's back in, wiggling a little bit there, Ned.
Yeah, he didn't have that right angle into the corner as you talked about a little bit ago. That might cost him a position or two.
He squeezes it between Slater and Irvin. As you see, Terry Labonte started 14th, has worked his way up to the 7th spot now.
Morgan Shepherd, who has dropped off the pace.
Well, being shown in 43rd position, the last car. Everybody's still in the lead lap.
Ricky Rudd at the end of this pack. Rudd is, let's see, shown in the 34th position.
Blake Speed, the 9 car, directly in front of a new paint job this week for the 9 car.
You know, it's time for Ricky Rudd to have a good finish. It's been up and down the last 6 races. For instance, in California, Ricky Rudd finished in 3rd position. The next race, 34th. New Hampshire, good run, 9th. Next race, bad run, 36th. At Indianapolis, he won the Brickyard 400, and he finished 40th last week at the Glen. So if the string continues, Rudd will have a good finish here this afternoon.
Walter brothers there racing. Darrell in the black and white number 17 with some orange or red on it, and his brother Michael in the Citgo Ford. They are running 28 and 29.
The reason for onboard cameras acting up like that, the helicopter can't get quite high enough because of the ceiling here to give us those great shots as Earnhardt dives to the inside, tries to go by the 40 car of Robbie Gordon.
Earnhardt is up to 16th position. There's Rusty Wallace on the low side of Wally Dallenbach.
And Wally Dallenbach has had some contact with somebody. The right rear of Wally Dallenbach's car is bent. Look how it's bent out there. Really catching some air on that 46 car. As Rusty Wallace tries to drive on the left side.
Rusty's got a good run going. He's up to 25th now, trying to take over 24th. And he started back in 43rd. John Kernan.
Rusty Wallace was very disappointed in his qualifying effort. I talked to Robin Pemberton. He says, hey, we don't know what the problem is in qualifying. That's the same car that came second at Charlotte. It ran well in California. But they were very happy with it yesterday afternoon. Tried a few things chassis-wise in happy hour. Didn't make any changes this morning. And just a few laps ago, Rusty uttered his first words over the radio. And he said, guys, it's running really well.
Johnny Benson, our pole sitter, has dropped all the way back to 8th position. Jeff Gordon is up to 9th, and there is Dale Jarrett running in 10th position. Looked like that Gordon might try to pass Benson off the corner 4, but he did not. And at the front of the field is Mark Martin, enjoying a little more than a half-second lead on Ted Musgrave. And then the third member of the Roush team, Jeff Burton, is running 3rd. Bobby Labonte is 4th, and Ricky Craven is running in 5th position. We're at Michigan Speedway in the Irish Hills near Brooklyn, and we'll be back with more of the DeVilbiss 400 in a moment. 400 at Michigan Speedway is 22 laps old. Mark Martin, there's the healthy advantage he has, but the battle back here for 2nd and 3rd. Musgrave, Jeff Burton, and Bobby Labonte. Team Roush running 1st, 2nd, and 3rd at the moment. And if you look at all super speedways, now this considers only points accumulated on the super speedways in 1997.
So we're talking about racetracks 1 mile and larger.
That's correct. Jeff Burton is 1st in the points, Mark Martin 3rd, and Musgrave 9th, and Burton goes to 2nd position.
Bobby Labonte wanted to go down there, but he didn't have the right angle into the turn.
On the inside of Derek Coates, trying to take that spot away.
That's 13th, BP.
He continues going toward the front of does Jeff Bodine, the 7 car.
Earnhardt started back in 28th position. On the first lap, he picked up 1 spot, then a few more, and right now, with 23 laps in the books, Dale Earnhardt's running 14th. Still looking to end that winless streak, which is at 47 races. Bill Elliott shoots down to the inside of Ken Schrader.
And depends on which one Earnhardt follows, might have the advantage coming off the turn 2.
Bill Elliott has won 7 times at this racetrack. He's won at June event 4 times, at this race 3 times.
We've tried to make a pass on Schrader, but it's positive in his position is Earnhardt goes by on the outside. These guys are really having trouble. A lot of them are really having trouble running on the bottom of the racetrack. Elliott's trying to figure out, what do I need to do here? Do I need to get on Earnhardt? And Bobby Labonte goes by Ted Musgrave, take over the 3rd spot.
Still Martin leading and Jeff Burton 2nd. The pylon there on the upper left of your screen will show you that the 18 car of Bobby Labonte is in 3rd position. Now we'll show you a Napa Field summary and give you everyone's running position at the moment, plus the numbers in parentheses indicate where they started.
Earnhardt up to 11th spot, started 28th. Elliott picked up 10 spots. Robbie Gordon's picked up 12 spots. Rusty Wallace started 43rd up to 22nd. See Dallenbach. There's the 90 car. He's having some problems. We saw Dallenbach going by as well also with a light rear quarter panel bulged out. John Kernan.
Well, Benny, about 12 laps into the race, Dick Trickle came by. I could hear that the engine didn't sound right. He radioed in, told his crew he thought a plug wire might be off. He was running on only 7 cylinders, and now after a few more laps of running, he thinks that they've got a problem with one of the rocker arms. Let's go down to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, John, Wally Dallenbach has lost 30 positions. He started 11th and now is being shown 41st. No, it's not the quarter panel that's been, although that happened at the start of the race. They have an ignition problem, and they have switched the backup ignition, and it's still missing. And now he radios his crew chief and says, I think it's the alternator. So they're telling him right now to cut off everything else in the car that's electrical, and on the first pit stop, we'll try. Hopefully it's a wire loose. If not, we'll have to change the alternator in the 46. And right now, he has lost 30 positions.
So I guess we can assume that he no longer is running the air conditioner or the radio, huh?
That's exactly right. You know, they had an alternator problem on that car at the Brickyard. Yeah, only one of the Statco cars had an alternator problem.
Mark Martin continues to set the pace here. He is now a 3/4 second advantage over Jeff Burton as we are 29 of 200 laps into the DeVilbiss 400. Back at Michigan Speedway, Mark Martin leading by a little more than a half second over Jeff Burton. And there's a new feature on NASCAR Online, www.nascar.com. Weather trackers can check the current weather conditions in the weekend forecast and the live Doppler radar, which is updated every 30 minutes. So you can have more information concerning where the rain is than we know. www.nascar.com, NASCAR Online.
Well, there's the leader, Mark Martin, but that second place car, he's gained about 6/100ths of a second while we're in commercial break. There is Jeff Burton. He's 0.7 of a second behind that last time by. And Dallenbach and Trickle in jeopardy of going a lap down. There is the top 10. Earnhardt has worked his way to the 10th spot. And Jeff Gordon trying to take over a spot from his teammate Craven. That's 6 right there.
Right. Gordon has really been coming up through there, Benny, just picking off one at a time, very methodically. He has a good race car.
Jeff Gordon has never won here at this racetrack, but he has led the last 2 events at this weekend. On board with Ricky Craven.
Jeff Burton, that time over 178 miles per hour. I see what happened to Craven when he got past under 1 and 2. He slowed down about 2 miles per hour while Gordon was going by.
So it looks like the fastest lap last time was Jeff Burton at over 178 miles an hour. There's Terry Lamonti.
So we see we've got 3 Roush cars in the top 4, and in 6th, 7th, and 8th, all Rick Henry cars.
And Dick Trickle heads for the pits.
Away. 4, 3, 2, whoa.
John Kernan.
Dick Trickle in his pits. Remember, he started 9th, but he's only running on 7 cylinders. The crew looking under, trying to figure out which cylinder it is that is not firing. As the car idles, now he has shut it off. You can hear that something is not right. They're looking on the left side of the car, trying to check the plug wires, make sure that each one is tightened.
Got another one?
Well, the crewman asking for another one. It comes over with a screwdriver. So it looks like they're going to check the plugs right now. They'll take the cover off.
All right, let Harold take care of that.
Not too bad. Dick Trickle had a great qualifying run.
All right, guys, let's change tires.
Meanwhile, back on the racetrack, there is the interval now between first and second.
Jeff Burton, we see that he's about the same as Mark Martin. We'll check the speeds for the last lap 7, 13, 19. Martin and Burton ran about the same thing. Then on 13, Mark Martin had a great lap. On 19, we see that Burton's a little faster. And on lap 35, looks like that Burton is a little bit faster. Now, at the end of these runs, we'll just see how these cars are doing on these tires.
Sometimes as tires heat up and they get long runs, the fuel load gets lighter. It changes the handling characteristics of a car, and sometimes it favors one, and sometimes it hurts another.
Jerry Punch.
Exactly what you're saying, Ned and Benny, is what's happened with Ted Musgrave. The concern here at Michigan, the track tends to get very, very tight, which means you get a push coming off the corner. Now, if you have a low gear in the car, which some of the guys are going with, like Mark Martin, you can just jump in the throttle, and it'll jerk the car off the corner, and the push will go away. But Musgrave went with a higher gear to conserve fuel. He said, now, if we get a push, we have no way to get the car to turn coming off the corner because of our gear. And that's exactly what's happened. He now has a severe push coming off the corner.
And he's brought back to fourth position. We are on record pace here. It's been green since the drop of the flag, and so we are more than 20 miles an hour above the race record, averaging 177.9 at the moment. Let's check the intervals here as the cars cross the line.
We see Jeff Burton still 3/4 of a second behind. Bob Labonte now almost 5 seconds back. Jeff Gordon 8 1/4 seconds. Dale Jarrett a little over 12 seconds, and Dale Earnhardt 15 1/4 seconds behind the leader, Mark Martin.
And Jeff Gordon now comes up on the 28 car of Ernie Irvan. We should be entering a pit stop window here before very long, and we want to make sure that we show you what happens during those pit stops, so we'll take a break. With 40 laps completed at Michigan Speedway, Mark Martin is the leader.
Normal.
We're back at the DeVilbiss 400 at Michigan Speedway near Brooklyn, Michigan. 44 laps have been completed. And a little bit later this afternoon at 3 o'clock Eastern Time over on ESPN2, you'll be able to see on the grid in preparation for the Texaco Havoline 200 Kart PPG race live at 3:30 here on ESPN right after our coverage of this NASCAR Winston Cup event. So all kinds of racing activity this afternoon, and we see now some cars beginning to make their first scheduled pit stop.
This is bad news because they need to run the 50 laps. And here comes Jeff Gordon. He's coming in early. Need to run to 50, but evidently that fuel pressure gauge started fluctuating. Bill Weber.
Jeff Gordon got through lap 45, now brings his DuPont Chevrolet sliding to a stop. Just start-finish line here on pit road. Gas can goes in. Gordon getting right side tires. He should be 4 tire stops. Earnhardt is also on pit road, about 5 stalls behind Gordon, and Kernan's there.
It'll be a 4-tire change for Dale Earnhardt. The car has been loose getting into the turns, but good coming off.
The crew swings around to the left side. Larry McReynolds watching them work. Earnhardt, now Jeff Gordon is down and away, headed down pit road. Earnhardt. Guns, they have a little bit of a problem with the left front tire. Now they finally get the lugs tight, and he's away.
22.6-second pit stop for Dale Earnhardt. Also on pit road, Sterling Marlin. We have Mike Skinner, Rick Mast. Here comes Morgan Shepherd, Bill Elliott, several now choosing to come down pit road as Dale Earnhardt completes his stop and rolls out on the track.
Robbie Gordon, Jeff Bodine, Derek Cope, Kenny Wallace was in a little bit ago. Let's go back to the pits and John Carter.
Jeff Bodine is here. He's in the pit stall right in front of Dale Earnhardt. The crew putting the right side tires on, tighten the lugs there. They'll then come around and make a chassis adjustment in the left rear of the car. Left side now getting ready to go. Come off. Go on. Let's go down to Bill Elliott's pit and Dr. Jerry Punch. Right side tires only for Bill Elliott. He's down and away. A major adjustment in the right rear of that car. He had come all the way from 24 starting spots into the top 10 as we are still waiting for our leader, Mark Martin, who should pit in about 2 laps.
We're on board with Mark Martin now. He shows no signs of slowing down this time, passing Chad Little.
And Bill Elliott changed 2 tires as Jeremy Mayfield comes down pit road.
There's a little bit different look on that car this week. Kmart's headquarters are located in Troy, Michigan, just down the street from Michigan International, and he stops for his scheduled stop.
And Jeff Burton is in as well. The second place car coming in. Ernie Irvan coming in. Let's go to and Bill Weber.
Jeff Burton driving a car that was brand new for the California race.
number 14. His car is running well. Slight air pressure adjustment. Right side tires are on. They come around to the left side. Fuel going in. Burton pitches out his brake bottle, tightening the lugs on the left side, having a little problem on the left rear. Now the lugs are tight, the car's down, and Burton's around and out. The punch.
All right, Texaco car that won here in June. Ernie Irvin has already made a right side tire change. Now he goes to the left side of the car. 4 tire change for Ernie Irvin. Remember what happened in June? Only 2 tires. Now we'll see what our leader does. Here comes Mark Martin down pit road at 65 miles an hour. Martin in the pits to Valvoline Ford. I got to believe they're going to change 4 tires. As good as this car is in, his teammate, Ted Musgrave, also pitting about 4 stalls behind him. Right side tires up for Martin. No catching thus far. Left side tires going on. And Musgrave has Ricky Craven running. Musgrave, they both getting right side tires. Has the left front, now left rear tire down on the Valvoline Ford. Down the way. Now Musgrave just getting right side tires. Craven, Budweiser, Chevrolet will get a 4-tire change. They made an air pressure adjustment for Craven to complain. The car was very, very tight. Smokes the tires and heads back to 1. Let's go to Bill.
Bobby Labonte pits on pit road as the race leader. His Pontiac slides to a stop. Terry Labonte goes by on his right-hand side. Bobby has right-hand tires on. They come around to the left side. Fuel going in. Bobby's still waiting on the left side tires, trying to get plenty of fuel in. He's gone past lap 50. The 18 is away. Now Terry Labonte, his older brother, the reigning Winston Cup champion, waiting for his tires. He's got fuel in the gas. And Terry Labonte returns to the race.
Great pit stop by Bobby Labonte's Interstate Batteries crew. Also Terry Labonte, those guys had a great pit stop. We see Chad Little, someone under the back of the car. Yeah, they're looking under the car now. Something is broken on the John Deere Pontiac. As Kenny Schrader, Darrell Waltrip both go back on the racetrack.
And that's Wally Dallenbach pitted right behind Chad Little. And looks like they have some problems that may take them behind the wall. Wally Dallenbach moves out.
Yes, they are pushing the 97 off pit road back toward the garage area.
So that's the first car that moves off the track for some work.
And I believe after this round of pit stops that Jeff Burton is going to pick up the lead.
Jerry, what's wrong with the 97?
Just the kind of luck Chad Little has had all year long. They had a vibration in the car. They thought it might be something in the rear end. They came in and checked. It is apparently in the transmission, so they were pushing behind the wall and try to make a change. But unfortunately, that good qualifying effort early in the week goes for naught as he will head for the garage area.
The John Deere crew continues to push that car back to the opening that will allow them to take it back for some work. Well, here is the battle for the lead now. The 99 of Jeff Burton is the leader of the race, and Mark Martin is running second, and they're in some rather heavy traffic here.
Yeah, trying to put a lap on John Andretti. 98 goes the lap down. There's Kyle Petty, and number 44 goes the lap down.
And we see that great pit stop by the Interstate Batteries crew as Bobby Labonte just a little over 2 seconds behind the leader, Jeff Burton.
So Bobby Labonte is third, Ted Musgrave is fourth, Ernie Irvin is in fifth position as Jeff Burton leads at the DeVilbiss 400. Mark Martin has gone back in front of Jeff Burton, and so Martin once again picks up the lead here.
But Bobby Labonte, that green car has closed in. He was a little over 2 seconds behind now. The last time by was just a half a second behind Mark Martin, the leader. Evidently, the traffic. These guys have had trouble getting through the traffic. Never seen the off-track interval. Mark Martin went by. He clocked the. He goes the next time by. He went in the pit. He made his pit stop. He came back. So that is an average of 2 laps, 126 miles an hour. You see that he's faster than Jeff Burton. We're talking about second. I'm sorry, second. So Jeff Burton was off. That's why Jeff Burton was in front when the cars get back on the racetrack, because he spent less time on the 2 laps to make the pit stop.
Now those are timed. They hit the mark, and it's a slowdown lap. It includes the pit stop, and then the next lap as they get back to speed all the way around the racetrack.
Exactly. I was thinking it was miles per hour, but in fact it was second.
Yeah, 126 seconds.
Michigan off pit road.
What race was it this year that we credited Jeff Gordon with having an advantage? California, when he came down off the racetrack very quickly. He got slowed down so that he didn't exceed the speed limit, but his entrance onto pit road was just the amount of time that he needed to win the race.
It really was impressive, Jeff Gordon's entry in California. Slid all 4 tires just at where they start clocking the cars on pit road.
There's first, second, and third. Bobby Labonte now is in third position. Labonte has 4 career NASCAR Winston Cup wins, and half of them have come here at Michigan. He won the June race in 1995, and then he came back and won the fall race.
Last time by, Mark Martin, those fresh tires ran just over 180 miles per hour.
Bobby Labonte is coming right in on him.
Those cars are within about a second of each other, and then we go back a couple of more seconds to Ted Musgrave, who's running in the 4th position, about 3 1/4 seconds behind Mark Martin. He has gained 3 positions since the drop of the green flag.
Next car is Ernie Irvin. There he is. As he goes by Kyle Petty on the outside, currently in 5th, started in 20th spot. The winner here in June. What's everybody raving about that the 28 car, the same car, started the same spot, used the same garage stall?
But a lot of the same there. The result could be the same.
There's Terry Labonte, who started 14th and now runs in 6th spot. For Bill Elliott. He'll be next. There he is.
Now, he made that 2-tire change, which put him up in the top 10. Bill was back somewhere between 12th and 20th with that 2-tire change, and really it looks like it's working for him because he's been able to hold off Dale Jarrett and Jeff Gordon. They got beside him a couple of times shortly after, but they couldn't make the pass.
So there's 7th, 8th, and 9th, and not too far behind Jeff Gordon there in 9th position is the 10th place car of Ricky Craven. There he is. Board with Ricky. About 14.6 seconds up ahead of Ricky Craven is the number 6 Valvoline Ford, driven by Mark Martin. He is the leader of the race after 61 of 200 laps in the DeVilbiss 400. We'll be right back. Here comes Mark Martin around the number 8 car of Hut Strickland. Hut is running in the 24th position, so there are 23 cars now on the lead lap as Mark Martin has about a 6/10 of a second lead on Jeff Burton. Well, let's go down to John Kernan, who's with Chad Little.
In the garage area, Bob, right now is Chad's crewman underneath the car replacing the transmission. Chad, can your luck get any worse? Unbelievable.
Yeah, I couldn't get much worse, but, you know, luckily the John Deere Pontiac we were running, I guess, okay. The car felt decent out there. We're a little tight down in 3 and 4, but pretty good in 1 and 2. And after that pit stop, I took off, and I thought maybe a tire was really loose, but as it turns out, something inside the transmission broke. So we're going to change the transmission and then just get back out there and see what we can learn as far as chassis setup and so on. But it's unfortunate, you know, when you have a string of bad luck going, it can continue, and we're not going to endure that for that right now, but everybody has high hopes. We're real excited about our new alignment with Roush, and we're going to keep charging forward.
Chad Little in the garage area right now is working. He's looking to find that lucky horseshoe.
And the Jack Roush driver, Mark Martin, continues to rumble through the field. He just put Lake Speed down a lap at 23rd position, and ahead of him right now is David Green in the 96 car.
Chad Little just mentioned the Jack Roush affiliation. I don't think there's been an official announcement, but I guess he just announced he's going to be joining the Jack Roush team. Some speculation was to be a Ford or Pontiac. Jerry Punch?
And by the way, but he did make an announcement this morning, and Jack Roush is the official owner there of the Chad Little team, and will be be going up there Tuesday to visit the shop for the first time. But a moment ago, while you were talking to Shad Little, Derek Copeland, an unscheduled pit stop in the Skittles Pontiac. And guys, believe it about bad luck, his window net came down. They had to come down pit road and put it back up, and it cost him dearly.
Yes, indeed. He's down a lap now in 37th position. Just passing by Dale Earnhardt, who's running at 11th currently after starting 28th.
Well, looks like the 88 car is going to try its best to get by Bill Elliott. They've been trying for the last 10 or 15 laps, not successful. I don't think it worked that time.
I don't think so either. He just doesn't have the right entrance into the turn. Once he does that, now he's going to try it coming off the turn once again, but I don't think it's going to work. Jeff Gordon might get by. Dale Jarrett did it one other time, and Gordon got by that same maneuver. This time, at least, they held on to the 8th position.
These three were running like this before the pit stop, weren't they? Just out there.
Well, no, Bill Elliott was not there because he made a lot of gain on the pit stop with a two-tire change. Let's go to the pits.
All right, Wally Dolleback, we told you they had a problem with the car when it missed early on. We thought it was ignition. They went to the backup ignition. It turned out it was the alternator. They shut off all the electrical, but the car was getting slower and slower and slower. They thought the car might quit on the racetrack. We have not had a caution flag, so they had no choice but to come in, and now they have the left side of the First Union Chevrolet jacked up. They are going to change the battery. How unusual is that during the middle of a Winston Cup race? They have to change the battery. A window net comes down from one driver, a transmission problem on a super speedway race, and now a battery change. Three things in a row you rarely see at a track like Michigan.
And Wally was coming off his best finish of the year last weekend at Sears Point, or rather at Watkins Glen, where he finished 10th. And Jeff Gordon is challenging now Dale Jarrett out here for the 7th position.
Well, Jarrett finally got around Bill Elliott going into turn 3, and Jeff got a run on him coming off turn 4, but there again, he's down on the inside like Jarrett was the last time around off turn 2, and just couldn't get the momentum.
What happens, these cars have to really make a wide entry in the corner. Here they got to go in wide and come across the racetrack like that. And look, Jeff Gordon goes very, very high, and Elliott tries to get alongside of it. If they can't get that wide entry in the corner, the car just simply slides to the right front across the racetrack, pushes across the racetrack. And that's why we see them on the inside to get down the corner, they just back off because they know if you go in there with it on that low entry, the car's going to slide right across the racetrack. Summer, you can take a look and see where your favorite driver may be running. For instance, on the right, where the car started today's event.
18 cars still on the lead lap. Jeff Green just went a lap down, as did Bobby Hamilton. Remember, when we go to Darlington in a couple of weeks, Jeff Gordon will be going for the Winston Million. And the only driver to have done that so far is the guy that's running right there behind him, Bill Elliott. Dale Jarrett, of course, went after it last year, failed to capitalize. We'll see if Jeff can this year. That's in 2 weeks at Darlington. 75-car Rick Mast on pit road.
Remington Ford.
Running back to 38th spot, a couple of laps down, so I would guess that the Remington car is just using this as a practice, trying to figure out what they can do to make this car better the next time they come to Michigan.
Riding along with Mark Martin. His advantage over Jeff Burton is now a little more than a second.
Looking around, looking in the mirror. Who's that behind me? Yeah, okay.
Nobody's real close behind him. There's a lot of track distance between that particular driver, Mark Martin, and the battle for 7th position, and there it is.
16.5 seconds, as a matter of fact, from the leader. Mark Martin back to Dale Jarrett in 7th spot. And Gordon trying to go by on the inside, gets a good run. He said, come on, horses, jig, jig.
Because I want to be in front when we get to turn 3.
inside is just hard to beat that. He's got a good run now going into turn 1. Right there, pushed him right on by Gordon. He's going to try to make it move himself. Watch what happens when you get on this straightaway. If Elliott stays up behind Jared, it's going to give Jared a little bit of a boost. Well, I don't know. It didn't give him. Nope. I lied, folks. I thought it was.
Under normal circumstances, it would have given him a boost.
I forgot about that horsepower of that 24 car.
Well, BP looks like that Jeff Burton had the fastest of at least the first 6 there.
You can see the 24, 88, 94, only 175 miles per hour because they're running side by side and slow these cars down. I told you just a moment ago they were 14 and a half seconds behind the leader. They're now 17 and a half seconds. So in the last 2 laps, they lost 3 seconds to the leader while they race each other.
Still above 178 as Gordon gets the spot from Jarrett.
I think Dale Jarrett realized just what we were saying right there. Hey, we're losing too much time to the leaders, and probably his pit crew or his spotter or somebody said, hey, you'd be better off to single out here. Maybe Gordon is the fastest car of his trio right now. He can pull us a little bit faster.
They can speed just a little bit, and the next time out, they'll probably run about the same speed as the leader. And look at Jeff Burton, 178 versus 176.5 for Mark Martin.
Yeah, Martin's advantage was over a second just a few laps ago, and now it's down to about a half second. So Burton is closing in on the leader of the race.
Now there's some traffic they're having to work their way through, so that will obviously slow them down a little bit, but they should be faster than the last time. Over a mile per hour faster than the last time, even working through traffic.
78 laps completed here at Michigan Speedway, and it's still Mark Martin showing the way. We'll take a break and be right back with more at Michigan Speedway. Rusty Wallace on a Sunday drive here at Michigan Speedway. He's being shown in 14th position and just appears as relaxed as anyone could possibly be. Well, ESPN at 7:30 tomorrow night, you can tune in to host Mike Tirico, and he'll keep you up to date on all your preseason action on NFL Prime Monday. And then when that's over, switch over to ABC for another preseason game. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars facing the 49ers. Jacksonville quarterback Mark Brunell got good news yesterday when an exam determined he should return to that position in about 8 weeks, in October sometime. Jaguars and 49ers tomorrow night on ABC. Rusty Wallace started this race back in 43rd position last, took a previous champion's provisional, and he's made a nice progress to the front, or almost to the front.
Well, he's up to 14th spot, but right now there's only 17 cars in the lead lap. Michael Waltrip has gone a lap down. So has the pole sitter, Johnny Benson. Here comes Rusty Wallace off turn 4. We'll see how far behind the leader he is. Remember, it takes about 40 seconds to get around this racetrack. He's now 37 and a third seconds behind Mark Martin. So he's only about 2 3/4 seconds in front of Mark Martin.
Right behind him is Darrell Waltrip, who's in 15th position.
Robbie Gordon is in 16th. He's the last car on the lead lap. There's DeVilbiss.
After 20 races in the 1997 season, Darrell Waltrip has turned his season around. He's recorded 1 top 5, 4 top 10s, and has led 7 races, much better than his statistics for 1996, and has improved his points position some 14 better than last year.
Goes by Jeff Bodine, takes over that spot, put him up to 13th. And Martin is losing. He must have a flat tire or something, Ed.
Yes, there's something wrong with that valve lean forward.
The left rear tire is flat.
Man, he made an incredible save, didn't he?
Yes, the left rear, see it?
Yep. Wow.
And it made peel the cap off and tear something up before he get back to the pits.
He's over in turn 3, I believe, headed for the pits, but he's got quite a distance to go. And
oh, man, what a tough break. Had a dominant car. Maybe the crew's getting ready for him.
boy, he was just all over the racetrack trying to slow it down. Doc?
You know, we talked about all the sames that have happened in Michigan over the years. Same car for Ernie Irvin, same stall. Well, Mark Martin said, we're bringing the same car back, but not the same engine. We are going to have better fuel mileage, and it was working perfectly. They put it on lap 49, could make it on 2 more pit stops, and now this happened. That's exactly the kind of luck Mark Martin has had at Michigan Speedway. 65 miles an hour. That flat, I should say, shredded left rear tire comes down. Unfortunately, the inner liner is still up on the car. They have to push him back behind the line. NASCAR said he'd gone over the line. Now they will change all 4 tires, changing right and left. Remember, he was one of the guys that made a 4-tire change on his first pit stop at lap 49. Jack putting the left side of the car, left front off, left rear off. It has bent the left rear fender up somewhat. Didn't be much of a factor at bottom roll on the fender. Now they're trying to get some of the shredded rubber away, and there's rubber actually matted around the housing, up around the brake housing and caliper. They are pulling and tugging and pulling, and that rubber is very, very hot, and the crew trying to get it off. Finally, they get it off. The car is full of fuel, and now the left rear tire going on. But what a tough break. What a huge disappointment for Mark Martin and the Valvoline team.
Wow. Wow.
He goes 1 lap down. Is he going to go 2, Ned?
Yeah, I think so, before he gets his speed up.
Here's what happened.
He just had gotten by the 40 car of Robbie Gordon. He comes off the corner, and he can feel the left rear tires going flat. Robbie Gordon goes by and look at that. He says, man, I got me a serious problem now.
He did a great job of keeping that thing from spinning out.
Back down to Jerry.
Let me show you what happens when a tire is shred. This is part of the tread here that came apart. All this tread was intertwined around inside the brake caliper area, and I would scrap it and hold it up, but I'm no fool. It's all gone hot, but I won't show you. You see it steaming there. All this is intertwined and wrapped around the left part of the brake housing and brake caliper. Part of it was up inside the spring, in between the spring segments, so that's where they had to unwind that. Almost had to cut it out. They not gotten this out. They could have lost at least 1 more lap in the pit. What a break for Mark Martin.
Well, he did go 2 laps down, Jerry. He's now in 34th position. He led 70 of the first 89 laps.
Now we see Ernie Irvin, who is currently running in the 4th spot, as Mark gets by him.
So really, Benny, he's 2 laps and 10 seconds behind the leader, Jeff Burton.
Jeff Burton does pick up the lead. Now he enjoys almost a 2.5-second advantage over Bobby Labonte with Ted Musgrave, Ernie Irvin, and the number 5 car of Terry Labonte in 5th position at the moment. There's the leader. Down to John Kernan as Earnhardt comes in.
Dale Earnhardt finished first, lap 45. We're at lap 90. That's 45 laps. So you can do the math. He'll have to do at least 2 more pit stops. We expect it'll be a 4-tire change. Left side tires over the wall. Right side is finished. Now they'll come around to the left side. Loosen the lug nuts. 70 can of fuel going into Earnhardt's car. Left side's coming off. Going on. There it goes. Watching from the pit. Left rear's finished, but the left front takes a little bit longer. Earnhardt's away.
You also see Kenny Wallace pulling out of his pit stall after a stop. Top of your screen.
Kenny stopped early, about the same time Earnhardt did before. So, yes, they will have to make more pit stops.
There is Jeff Burton, who continues to lead now that Mark Martin has given up the lead, and this is what happened on lap number 86 to Mark Martin. Turn number 2, the left rear goes flat. He makes a great save, but because of that, he is 2 laps down in the field. Speed World coverage of NASCAR Winston Cup racing, the DeVilbiss 400, and we're being brought to you by the UAW International Union and General Motors Corporation. Assembly line to finish line, teamwork wins. By Burger King, where you can get your burger's worth. By Budweiser, the classic American lager. and by Daytona USA, the ultimate motorsports attraction. We are nearing the halfway point here at Michigan Speedway in this 400-mile race. We have completed 95 laps. Jeff Burton is on his 96th lap.
And Sterling Marlin just took his Kodak Film Chevrolet to the garage area. Kyle Petty is in the pits. Jeff Bodine comes down pit road.
Let's go down to John Kernan.
Kyle Petty's crew finishing up on the right side. They'll swing around to the left side. Kyle told me that, you know, he doesn't normally name his cars, but this car right here has the same name that he has. No qualifying fool. He expected to race well today, but he did lose a lap early. His pit work is done. He's headed back to the track.
Jeff Bodine also pulls out of the QVC Ford. Only 2 tires by Jeff Bodine. We hear from pit road. And there is Burton passing by the 17 car of Darrell Waltrip, or almost.
Darrell is running in the 12th position, trying to stay on that lead lap. We understand there might be a few raindrops falling.
And Jeff Gordon has come in, and he, as he did in California, Benny, smoked the tires, slamming on the brakes to get down below 65. Bill Weber.
97 laps on the board and a little more smoke as Gordon pulls to a stop in his pit. Extra man over the wall to clean the windshield now. An occasional sprinkle on pit road. Right side tires going on to the DuPont Chevrolet. Took a little longer with the right rear. Now they swing around to the left side, trying to get in as much fuel as they can. Remember, weather is a factor. Getting left side tires. Elliott's in. Jerry's there.
7-time Michigan winner Bill Elliott will get 4 tires. Remember, he only took 2 right sides on lap 47 on his first stop. Left side tires going on. Center full of fuel. Great pit stop on the McDonald's crew for Bill Elliott as the car number 43 is on pit road.
Bobby Hamilton getting service on the right side of his car. Now the crew going around to the left side. Also in is the 42 car of Joe Nemechek.
Getting 4 tires on his car. Crew goes around to the left side. Jack goes up.
And the leader comes in.
Jeff Burton is on pit road. Giving up the lead here for a pit stop on the 99th lap. Bill, he's headed toward you.
And this would be car 99 coming to a stop as the race leader. 2 wins already this season. They peel off the plastic shield on the windshield so Burton has better visibility. They'll make a track bar adjustment on the right rear. He's got right side tires, a 4-tire stop. Again, fuel is critical. Jack is under, car is up, water bottle comes out, left side tires go on. Waiting for the left rear, car is down, 99's away, the Jerry Pond.
Right side tires going on Ernie Irvin and making a track bar adjustment on the right rear of the Irvin Texaco Hamlin Ford. Same car that won here back in June. Now left side tires going on. Ernie Irvin crew gets a full of fuel. They wait. Let's go to John Vernon. Right side tires on for Rusty Wallace. Shutting the engine in. Come on, guys. Come on. Hurry up. Hurry up. Left side's coming on. They had an 18-second pit stop there last time. This was lap 100. They've gone 50 laps. They can make it with only 1 more stop left. Headed back out to the racetrack.
We've reached the halfway point as Terry Labonte comes in, and so does Michael Waltrip. Down to Bill Weber.
Rain begins to drizzle a little harder. Terry pitches the water cup out the window. He's already got right side tires. Now he waits on his left side Goodyear Eagles. When he gets Unical fuel, the windshield being cleaned, the car's gas, Terry Labonte's away. The leader is in. That's Ted Musgrave. Jerry Punch heading for you.
They were talking about a possible caution flag, Bill. They said there may be some debris on the racetrack. NASCAR says no, we're going to stay green. And here's the car number 16 down pit road. Same car, same driver that led the most laps here back in June. Prime Star, Family Channel crew. They will make a track bar adjustment in the right rear, and the sprinkles are getting harder here on pit road. Right side tires going on Ted Musgrave's car. Crew now coming to the left side. Remember, they only made a right side tire change on lap 49 on their first stop. Musgrave is down and away. He's got to go around the car number 25. Let's go back to Bill.
Bobby Labonte begins the trek down pit road. He'll have to weave his way around Darrell Waltrip, then pull into a pit. He has an opening in front of him. Plenty of room to work with. Rain is a factor now. We're more than halfway. It's an official race, but we want to go the distance. Windshield gets clean. Right side tires going on the Interstate Batteries Grand Prix. The same car that won in Atlanta last year in the season finale. Then it was is the Chevy. Jack under the left side, trying to get the left side tires off. They've got him, putting on the new left side. They pull him on. Labonte waits. He's down, back in the race.
21.4-second pit stop for Bobby Labonte as 102nd lap is now completed, and we see raindrops on the booth window of the booth here, but the green stays out. Not enough rain to make any kind of a safety problem.
And Ted Mestre will get the $10,000 money from Gatorade for leading halfway.
Michael Walker was too fast down pit road, and he said go forward. Caused him to stop and go.
See a little bit of moisture on the windshield of Michael's car as he goes down pit road once again. Now begins to accelerate, pulling out, staying below that yellow line until he gets through the second corner.
Have you seen raindrops on the windshield? Yes, we do see some raindrops on the windshield. Not much, but a little bit.
Well, after all this, the 99 car of Jeff Burton still has control of the race. The advantage on second place, Bobby Labonte, about 6.7 seconds.
And those two guys right in front of him about to go a lap down as we see some raindrops on the camera. They know it's raining. They feel that NASCAR might throw the caution. Darrell Waltrip now a lap down.
Darrell Waltrip is in 16th position, and Rusty Wallace is in 15th spot. But right now, Rusty is staying on the lead lap, at least for the moment. We'll take another break at the 104 lap mark here at Michigan Speedway in the DeVilbiss 400. Capacity crowd here at Michigan Speedway in the grandstand and in the infield. Right now they're getting just a little bit wet, and because of that the caution has been thrown, and we are at lap 106 under a yellow flag.
And what a break. Its caution flag is for rain. What a break for Mark Martin.
He was 2 laps down. Now he got one of the laps back when everybody pitted, and now watch what happens.
There's the leader when the caution flag comes out. The car is going in turn 3. Rusty Wallace is in front of the leader. All of a sudden the leader backs up like there's rain or something there, and Darrell Waltrip goes by. The caution is out. Darrell Waltrip, the leader's so slow. Here comes Jimmy Spencer. He's going to make a lap up. But here's why he slowed down. Here comes Mark Martin to get by and get his second lap back. Mark Martin is now back in the lead lap.
And he is indeed. He is 14th now.
The advantage of having a team.
That's
Boy,
right.
Aren't they great in a situation like that?
And look, Mark Martin's on pit road to change 4 tires. He's back as good as all of them.
Yep. Jerry Punch.
Well, Benny, I don't know. They've got a problem with the brakes. The reason he came in was not because he wanted to. They'd already made a pit stop a couple laps ago. They think when that tire shredded it, what may have happened was it may have partially pulled the caliper off or maybe kinked the brake line. That's why they wanted to bring Mark back in. They got a brake with the caution coming out as you just saw. But now the Valvoline team worried about the brakes in the left rear as the pace car is in turn 3, and Mark Spotter talking to him and the crew, telling him exactly where the safety car is. Buster Otten in driving that safety car at 70 miles an hour under the caution here on the racetrack, as now Steve Meal, the former crew chief and now team manager, is down himself on his knees working on the left rear. And apparently they satisfactorily have got to turn around and give me the okay signal, so the pace car's in turn 4, and Mark Martin will pull away.
Well, we have had 6 leaders of this race, and Mark Martin has led the most laps. He's led 70. Jeff Burton has led 21. The others who have led, Ricky Craven, Johnny Benson, Bobby Labonte, and Ted Musgrave. We've had 11 lead changes in the first 105 laps, but we are under caution. More pit stops being made. Here's Jeremy Mayfield.
No, Jeremy Mayfield is a lap down. He's currently showing a 32nd spot. And they're doing something back on the right. It looks like they're disconnecting the rear sway bar. I would guess they're doing some work on both the front and rear.
Jeremy shown 2 laps down. And the work continuing on the car. They're working in the right front now, BP.
I don't know what they're doing. Unless they're changing the shock absorber or something. And we got the hood up on the 10 car.
Ricky.
And he's made some contact. Look, pretty good contact on the right side of Ricky Rudd's car. Looks like he might have hit the wall. See all this back here? The tide is almost knocked off the quarter panel.
And Mark Martin is also back in as they continue to work on that car.
Well, they worked on the left rear the last time. Since they're in the rear of the field, they might as well go ahead and change 4 tires, Jerry.
Manny, you're exactly right. They wanted us to come in and change the other 3 tires. They had not yet changed. They're going to do a little body work here where the fender, left rear fender, and deck lid come together. It's buckled up slightly. They're also trying to figure out where all the brake fluid went. They're looking inside the car now. The wheel they took off had brake fluid all inside the wheel of the left rear. Now they're looking to put a filter inside the car. They probably will bring Mark Martin back in yet again.
And Ricky Rudd makes a quick pit stop for the fact that they opened up the hood. John, what was the reason for that pit stop by Rudd?
Well, Bob, early in the race, Ricky had a brush with the wall, and apparently that knocked the toe out on the right front and also might have pushed the rear end housing over just a little bit. They're trying to get that fixed, but they're not quite sure if they've been able to do that. They said after Ricky scraped the wall early in the race, the car just has not felt right to Ricky. So while they've got this opportunity with the caution, they're going to try and fix it.
All right. Well, we got 17 cars on the lead lap here at the 108 lap mark as Jeff Burton holds on under caution at Michigan. Track Facts are brought to you by Quaker State, the quality your car deserves.
We talk about fuel mileage and how many variables there are. A lot of things can be changed before the results we showed you this morning before the race began about the jets inside the carburetor, the rear gearing, or the timing. And during the race, the calculations here in the pits are critical to be able to use every single ounce of fuel. But one variable we haven't discussed, and that's what happens inside the car, in the cockpit. What can the driver do to save fuel? Well, let me show you. The same thing you do on the highway when you're driving in bad weather. You take that throttle foot and drive like you got an egg under it. Easy on, easy off. You push it too hard, you jam it down, well, it can shatter your day, or else gets scrambled, as we show you here.
I'm glad he did that, not me.
In the other Roush pit, here is Bill Weber.
Well, these guys would like you to think they're a bunch of tough guys, but Frank Stoddard, your co-car chief on this car, you're really a bunch of nice guys. You let your teammate go by you there.
What do you mean? The ignition broke there on the...
That's the story they're selling down here, but we're not investing in it.
Well, you know, those guys, Butch and Jimmy Fenning and Steve, you know, everybody helped us this weekend for qualifying. We were undecided on what we were going to do on tires for qualifying and stuff, and that was a big part of our effort for qualifying, being up front there today. So if we can turn the favor around a little bit, we're more than glad to do it. We had to cover their car up this weekend, too, so they owe us big, I guess.
Obviously, your car is very good.
Yeah, we're really good. I mean, obviously, we'd have to race the 6 car all day today to, you know, to contend to win this thing, but we're just going to keep seeing what happens here with the rain and stuff, and we're one pit stop away from just having a great top 5 finish here for Roush.
And to tell you how nice they are, they offered me an umbrella because they said it's going to rain here for a long, long time. The rain's letting up. John Kernan?
Bill, actually, it is kind of letting up, but Dale Earnhardt took advantage to duck in tires and fuel during this caution flag on lap 109. Now, remember, he pitted lap 45, lap 90. We said he'd need 2 more pit stops to make it to the rest of the way. So now there's 90 laps to go. Got a couple laps under caution. Earnhardt now only needs 1 more pit stop to make it the rest of the way. That puts him in sync with some of these other guys. So a little taking advantage of the situation, I guess you might say.
Well, Dale Earnhardt has had much better finishes in the June race here at Michigan Speedway than in the August race. His average finish in June is 8th. His average finish in August is 18th. Under caution because of rain at Michigan. Still under caution because of rain. Here's what happened on lap 86 as we take a look at the highlights so far.
Leading the race, all of a sudden he gets loose off turn 2. Does a great job of saving the valve lean forward, but the left rear tire has gone flat. He makes it to the pit, but the tire is threaded around the axle housing. Takes some extra time to pull all of that out. Goes 2 laps down. And he makes up one of those laps, Bob, when The others pitted under green, but now the caution coming out for rain, and the leader, Jeff Burton, his teammate, slows down, lets some cars go by, but most importantly, lets his teammate go by, Mark Martin, now back in the lead lap.
And Jerry Punch is in the Mark Martin pit.
Well, let's update Mark's situation. This threaded tire to my right here did cut the brake line, actually pulled the brake line out of the caliper. They have since capped that brake line off. They've been on pit road now 4 more times under this caution, primarily to get this rocker panel pulled out that was flapping underneath. Now, the panel is gone, but what this means is that the fumes are now going to get up inside the car in the cockpit where Mark Martin is sitting. This last pit stop he came in was to put an extra hose on his helmet to get fresh air in from the outside so Martin can try to avoid any carbon monoxide problem. Let's check in with Bill Weber.
Well, Jerry, the excitement of Friday for Johnny Benson and the Pennzoil crew has turned to disappointment on this overcast Sunday afternoon. The car has been tight off the turns. It hasn't handled very well since the drop of the green flag. They also had a lengthy 25-second pit stop earlier in the race, so that's dropped Benson off the lead lap. So that team's very disappointed. Benson, of course, racing in front of his hometown fans, and we await the green flag once again.
It is about to come out. Prior to this caution, we were averaging 174.025 miles an hour. We were reduced to about 65 miles an hour there for several laps, but now the green flag comes out again on lap 114.
Is that the leader slow? Is that Jeff Burton slow up on the top of the racetrack?
Yeah, Ted Musgrave is taking over the wheel.
How about that?
And Burton still, he gets to the inside of the racetrack.
Could it be a tire?
It might be. He felt something in that board. Bill Weber, what's going on? Do you know?
Crew says it is a cut tire. They've got the pit board out. They're on the wall waiting for the leader to limp on back to the pits. They say it is a cut tire, similar to his teammate Mark Martin.
But he went by the pits that time, Bill. He stayed on the racetrack.
Well, the crew was ready, and he still may be in next lap, but in any case, he has relinquished the lead. He's currently in 4th position as Ted Musgrave now goes in front. Bobby Labonte running in 2nd position, and then Ernie Irvin.
Well, you wonder if he might have gone in turn 1, Benny, and maybe hit a little bit of a damp spot or something. The car slid a little bit and said, oh, I got a flat tire. That's the first thing to see. And then maybe when he went into turn 3 and said, well, it felt a little bit better.
Bill?
Tire buildup, they believe, is the problem. Jeff thought he had a tire going down. Ran just as you said. Car felt better. He's back up to speed. Now he's got a few critical positions to pick up.
So a couple of bad breaks for Roush drivers. However, one of them still remains in the lead, Ted Musgrave. But bad luck for both Jeff Burton and Mark Martin.
And we see Bobby Hamilton high up on the racetrack. He was able to get back on the track. Build up. We see the drivers on these caution flags weaving the car back and forth, back and forth. That's what they're doing, trying to get the build-up off those tires. So when they go down the corner, it doesn't slide across the racetrack just exactly like Jeff Burton did.
And what we're talking about when we talk about build-up, the tires are hot, and the rubber that they've worn off and slid that's on the racetrack, then when you slow down with that, with the tire as hot as it is, it'll pick that rubber up and doesn't give you a smooth surface, certainly not one that you want to go into a turn wide open with.
Bobby Hamilton, we saw him weaving down the front stretch. He's trying to figure out if he has a flat tire. His car is not feeling right. He's trying to feel if his car had a flat tire. I guess decided it was not a flat, and Bill Elliott trying to go by Terry Labonte.
Trying to take over 5th position, going by on the outside. Elliott, another good run here at the Michigan Speedway.
Meanwhile, the 99 car has gone by Ernie Irvin to take over 3rd spot.
But Burton begins to pick off the positions that he lost there when the green came out. He's about 1.5 seconds behind the leader Musgrave. Now we have Jeff Gordon that's right there also, racing with Terry Labonte, and a big bunch up back here. Whoa! Jeff Green had to get out of the throttle.
Oh, God. And Mike Skinner, the 31 car, Lowe's car, has been having problems all day. He's been on the bottom of the racetrack, and it looks like he's giving the 5th this time, yes.
Well, he's 23rd, 1 lap down.
Saw a shot of our pole sitter there, Johnny Benson, who's running back in the 23rd position. He's eligible for $76,000 in Unocal bonus money, but probably will not win that today. Now a battle for the fifth position as Elliott and Labonte go at it. Jeff Gordon looks on.
Well, Elliott passed Terry Labonte just a couple of laps ago. Now Labonte's trying to get that spot back. But Elliott does maintain. That lets Jeff Gordon drive up on the outside of Terry Labonte. Might take that spot away. A battle for the sixth spot between teammates. Terry Labonte on your right, Jeff Gordon on your left.
Indeed, Jeff Gordon takes the spot away from Labonte. They call him Mr. Michigan, Bill Elliott, because in 39 starts here at this racetrack, he has 7 wins. That's more than any other active driver, 16 top 5s and 24 top 10, and an average finish of 10.7. Finish of 1997 so far was here in this race in June, where he was runner-up to Ernie Irvin. Looking back from Bill Elliott's car to Lake Speed. There's Gordon going to the low side of the track.
And Jeff Burton going in the second spot, or trying to go in the second spot, is Steve Grissom trying to maintain that position in that lead lap.
Ooh, but he's going to slide high. Bobby Labonte going to try to drive back under him. Boy, he went into that third turn, did it. Awfully hard, Jeff Burton did.
Well, that's why you were talking about, though. He took the low angle into that turn, and when he came out, the car pushed on him.
Exactly.
Last time by, Buddy Parrott radioed Jeff Burton and said, Jeff, you have got to get back and take the lead. The bottom could drop out any minute, Jeffrey. You got to push the button now.
He's doing all he can, but he's got Bobby Labonte to contend with first. Now Labonte drops it behind Burton. So he sets out now for his teammate, the leader of the race, Ted Musgrave.
As we come by, we'll see what the difference between first and second place is as Musgrave looking from Bobby Labonte's car.
Just a little over a second, Benny.
Next time by, we'll see if Jeff Burton's able to close in on his teammate, Ted Musgrave.
Don't count out Bill Elliott or Jeff Gordon as they come up from the 5th and 6th position. Ernie Irvin running 4th. The weather is the question mark at this time. Will they be able to complete the distance? We've only got 78 laps to go. We only need less than an hour, but the weather is threatening, and the caution comes out again. And we presume it's for moisture.
And Steve Grissom is not able to get that lap back in the Kodiak Chevy. Raindrops a little heavier in our camera down in turn 1.
Only one race here at Michigan has ever been shortened. That was the second event ever run in August of 1989. The second,
1969, you mean?
No, it was the second race in 1989, and it was called after 165 laps. And again, see some water on the windshield of Labonte's car. And also on Rusty's. He's still on the lead lap in 13th position. Strangely enough, it's raining where Mark Martin is, too.
Yes. And Mark has worked his way up to the 11th position. Let's see if it's raining where Michael is.
I'll be darned. Well, since we're checking in cars, let's go to Jeremy Mayfield.
Yeah, right in there, too.
Yep. He's 2 laps down in 34th. Well, it's not that quite that dark here, although the clouds are moving in.
I got in front of the camera there. That's what happened there.
Caution again at Michigan because of precipitation. It's Ted Musgrave in the lead of the DeVilbiss 400. The light rain showers have certainly not dampened the enthusiasm of the record sellout crowd here at Michigan Speedway for the running of the DeVilbiss 400. Everybody very optimistic that indeed this race can
Johnny Benson fans.
As we whiten out, you can see that every grandstand is full here today, and they're also full in the infield. Well, for the 5th time this season, the True Value man of the race is the winner of last week's Bud at the Glen, Jeff Gordon. It was his 8th win of the season, first on a road course, and his 15th top 5 finish in 20 races this year. Remarkable record there. And he is donating $1,000 to the Leukemia Society. True Value donates $1,000 to Jeff Gordon, and he donates it to the Leukemia Society of America, his favorite charity. His efforts during the past year have generated over $50,000 as a result of Jeff's Racing for a Reason program. Let's go down to Jerry Punch, who's in the pit of Ted Musgrave, the current leader.
I'll bet you if you asked Ted Musgrave, he would tell you that for 204 Winston Cup starts, it has rained on his parade. And now James Ince, Ted's 205th start. When you're leading the race, this has got to be a monsoon to you guys, right?
Well, we're not sure what we want right here, right now. You know, we almost want to go back racing, but on the same token, we'd almost like to go home right now. But Ted's doing an awful good job right now. The race car's pretty strong, and we just want to get back racing, or we want to go home.
What about your teammate, Jeff Burton? I heard Buddy Parrott tell him with a couple laps before the caution came out, you got to get back up front, catch the 16 passing because the bottom is going to drop out. Can you hold off, Jeff?
Well, right there, Jeff was actually a little bit better than we were, but we're still being a little bit conservative. The racetrack's a little bit wet. We don't want to wreck our stuff. Right now, we got 60-some laps to go, and we're planning on racing to the end. So hopefully they'll keep doing that mentality, and we'll get to run the whole race, and we'll have better tires when it's over.
What about the third member of Team Roush? I mean, Steve Mill came up here a minute ago. He's the team manager. Said, hey, guys, I got some mixed emotions. I'm trying to get Mark Martin back in the thick of this thing.
Yeah, he's got a weird thing going there. As the general manager of Roush Racing, he wants the 16 car to win the race, and he's kind of praying for rain right now. And heading up the 6 car today, he's kind of hoping it'll go green because they're racing for a championship. So he's got a weird thing happening.
Well, let me Steve, get in here. So let me ask you now, as team manager, you've got a lot of mixed emotions right now, thinking about trying to win a race and maybe getting your guy Mark Martin not only back in the points, but back at running for a championship.
Yeah, I'm going from one hat to the other. Told James a while ago, as a general manager, we need Ted to win the race, and as a guy trying to help Mark Martin finally win his Winston Cup championship against a real tough 24 car, we need to get some more position. So we're believing that the sun stays out a long time up here in beautiful Michigan, and we're also believing Ted's got a good enough car to outrun some people, maybe all the people, if it goes green. So we're excited for it to go green.
Wouldn't it be nice, though, Ted get his first win and maybe Mark get his first title?
It'd be terrific, yeah. We're working on both at the same time. Unfortunately, it's 2 different scenarios today.
All right, Steve Mill and James Ince, we're talking about down here in the Roush pits. They would certainly love to be able to have Ted Musgrave run all 200 laps and go to victory lane on a sunny day, but they'll take it however they can get it.
Somewhat an enviable position to be in with the Roush cars 1st, 2nd, and 11th. And including all 3 drivers, Roush cars have led 113, make that 114 of 127 laps so far today. We'll take another break and be back with more from the Michigan Speedway, where the caution remains out. Well, through all of the bad weather, the rain and the low ceilings, the Pennzoil Copter Cam has stayed up there all the time and continued to bring us these shots from high above Michigan Speedway. There it is. Thank you guys for hanging with us during all the inclement weather. Hey, at 8 o'clock tonight, Kenny Mayne will have the highlights and the lowlights of this race, plus the kart race at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and the Pennzoil 200 IRL event at Loudon, New Hampshire, New Hampshire International Speedway. That's RPM tonight over on the Deuce at 8 o'clock Eastern. Also, there's drag racing today up in Minnesota. I understand that the Nationals at Knoxville were rained out last night, so a very, very busy weekend of racing. Formula One didn't run it, but that's about the only major series not competing this weekend.
And Detroit Gasket 200 NASCAR Busch Series race was held yesterday here at the Michigan Speedway.
We had a couple of cars come in for pit stops, Ned.
Yeah, Rusty Wallace and Terry Labonte. Terry Labonte came in and changed all 4 tires on the Kellogg Chevrolet. And Bill Weber's with Gary Dehart, and he'll find out why.
I've already found out you never play cards with Gary Dehart, but it's a great joy to watch him race. You came in, Gary. Why?
Well, the car's been tight all day long, and it's not going to get any better, so we decided to go ahead and come in this time, do a little work on it. Had a little rubber in the right front we took out, We'll free it up a little bit. When it goes green, I'd rather start from the back and go forward than start in the middle and go back. So we got enough racing to go, and the weather looks like it's going to clear here in just a little bit. So we roll the dice on it. The car's running great. It was just a little bit tight. We want to win this thing. We don't want to run second, third, or fourth.
Coming to the last caution, Terry raced Dale Jarrett very hard for that one critical position, just in case it did end now. Now you just gave up all that track position.
Well, you know, Bill, things change as the race goes on. You know, we didn't know how long the weather was going to be here. You know, a while ago, you know, we didn't know how long it could have called the race because of the weather. So we just, right now we know, we went and looked at the radar that it's going to clear up in a little bit. So we're going to be okay.
All right, we'll be watching.
All right, Bill, thank you. Cross your fingers for us.
Okay, that's Gary Dehart. Now, Rusty Wallace was also on pit road. John Kernan's down there with crew chief Robin Pemberton.
Robin, we saw you come on pit road just then. Why?
Well, you know, everybody pitted at 105, and the gamble now is, you know, we've been watching radar, and it looks like it's going to clear out of here. So when we stop with 20 or 25 to go, that's only one can of gas. The guys that stopped at 105 or in that earlier caution, they're going to have to put two cans of gas in it and at least tires. So it's a little bit of gamble, but hell, that's the way this week's been going.
Sometimes you got to make your own luck. Let's go down to Dr. Jerry Punch.
All right, what do you do when the crews have a break on pit road? They start feeding the crowd, and the Skittles crew are throwing packets of Skittles. How about a packet for our cameraman, Corky Corcoran? One packet for Corky. Here we go. There you go, Cork. Thank you very much. Now we fed the camera guy. Now we can feed the fans. Okay, guys. Throw them in the crowd so caution flags are worthwhile here at Michigan.
Looks like fun, huh, Benny?
Yeah, be the fans.
Back in a moment with more at Michigan. Under caution still because of raindrops. Let's take a look at the Busch race recap. The leader is Ted Musgrave. He has led 20 of 131 laps. We've had 12 lead changes, 2 cautions for a total of 16 laps, and the average speed is now 145. It was 177 before the rain arrived. Those that have led a lap include Mark Martin, Burton, Musgrave, Craven, Benson, and also the 6th driver to lead a lap here today, Bobby Labonte, and there's only one driver who is officially out of the race. That would be Sterling Marlin, car number 4. With some news on pit road, here's the good doctor.
Well, Bob, there had been some speculation as to the possible ownership change of car number 97, Chad Little's John Deere Pontiac. I am with Greg Pollux. Greg, you and Mark Rippon have owned this team since its inception, but I'm told today, a little bit ago, you made an announcement about a new partnership. Tell us about it.
Mark and I have owned this team since 1992. You know, Mark's still playing for St. Louis, so has some other things that he wants to do. We needed a little help in some areas and some more experience. Was very much behind us, stepping up. Jack Roush and I have been friends ever since I've been in this. When we were running Fords, anytime I needed some help, Jack was right there. So we started talking about an engine program for next year, and one thing led to another, and Jack and I formed an alliance. Jack will really call the shots. There are a number of things that I'll do still running the 97 team, but I'm also going to assist with the other 3 teams as well.
Now, the word is that this team may stay as a Pontiac. He has 3 Ford teams, or have you decided what the car make will be, and what about John Deere's involvement for 98?
Well, there's going to be an announcement pretty soon in terms of the sponsor and the manufacturer. I wish I could tell you. I really don't know. We're still working on some details. There's some things that have to be worked out. We signed the agreement yesterday. In terms of a transfer of ownership, and it will be, the new team will be actually RP for Roush and Pollux, but Jack's really going to control things, and we just don't know right now. I mean, it looks real good for Deere to be back, but we don't know in terms of what the manufacturer will be.
All right, Greg, thanks for that information. That's the news, and what normally follows the news is the weather. So why don't we check in with our resident meteorologist, John Kernan.
Jerry, I don't need the radar to tell me that it's only kind of sprinkling very lightly, but let's take a look at it. It's very encouraging. Right in the middle of the green, you can see is where the racetrack is. To the west of us, look at all that gray. Gray is good. Gray means dry weather. So, yeah, I think we're going to be okay. This image is about 15 minutes old, so another 5-10 minutes, this stuff should be out here, and we should be good to go the rest of the way.
Well, we've heard the news and the weather. Now let's get to sports. At 3 o'clock Eastern Time over on ESPN2, you can be watching On the Grid. And then at the conclusion of our race, we'll have coverage of the CART PPG Texaco Haviland 200 from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. The yellow remains out here in Michigan. We'll be back after this break. Car continues to lead the field at about 65 miles an hour as we await the shower to move out of the area. 134 laps have been completed. If points were awarded right now, Jeff Gordon would up his advantage to 111, and the top 5 would remain in the same order. 6 through 10, however, there would be some movement as Ted Musgrave would gain 3 positions up to 8th. Elliott would gain 1 to 9th, and Ricky Rudd would slip from 9th to 10th in the point standings.
And Jeremy Mayfield would be out of the top 10. I bet a lot of folks are wondering, what is DeVilbiss? They make spray paint equipment, paint guns, paint booth, air compressors. So all that stuff is what DeVilbiss does. And there's what that little truck does is dry the racetrack.
And it really hasn't gotten too wet because the shower has been nothing more than light rain. But it continues to fall. Jerry, what's new with you?
Well, we're going to add a little more news while we have a break here, Bob. We mentioned yesterday in the Busch Grand National race that there was an increase in the number in the team efforts for Diamond Ridge Motorsports. Gary Bechtel, we talked a little bit about the fact that Elliott Sadler, your Busch driver, will have a new teammate next year, not anyone unfamiliar to him.
Well, we got Hermie. I'm not sure exactly what you said, Jerry. The cars went by, but Hermie's going to come drive for Diamond Ridge Motorsports, and we're pleased that DeWalt's going to stay with them. So we're excited about getting that effort back going again in hopes of getting our overall performance up in Diamond Ridge.
What about Winston Cup for 1998? We heard that Shaggy and Scooby-Doo are going away from the 29 car. They're going to be gone. How does it look for 98? Have you got a sponsor, or are you still looking?
No, Jerry, we're still looking for a sponsor. There's been a lot of disappointments for us in this year, 97, but Cartoon going their way is one wagon we're going to have to live with. But I think if we get our performance up, we'll hopefully get some serious people with us.
Got to be pleased with the way things have gone the last couple of weeks. I know that particularly Jeff Green and the guys have worked very, very well together.
They have, Jerry. That you know, as everybody's helped me, chemistry's a lot of it, and I think everybody's in it for the long term now. Hopefully they are, and getting pretty focused. Good communication. Struggling today a little bit with a hole in the radiator, but they're working it. That's all I can ask.
All right, that's Gary Bechtel. His team looking for a sponsor in 1998, and of course he'll have 2 Busch Grand National cars on the circuit full-time next year.
Jeff and the Cartoon Network car running 22nd here at the moment, 1 lap down to the rest of the field.
Bob had a loss in the sport of auto racing this past week. In fact, a week ago today, Bob Welborn was one of the greatest short track drivers that I ever raced against. He ran in the 50s and early 60s, passed away a week ago today. Our condolences to his family. Bob was a member of the National Motorsports Press Association Hall of Fame, and incidentally, they'll be inducting 3 new members into the NMPA when we go to Darlington week after next. Buddy Baker, the late Neil Bonney, and Jack Ingram will be going into the Hall of Fame, and also Joe Penland was a great short track racer from South Carolina, passed away about 3 weeks ago.
Our condolences to all the families and our congratulations to those drivers that will be welcomed into the Hall of Fame in 2 weeks. Well, the word is right now that in 5 more laps, we will go back to racing here at Michigan Speedway in Brooklyn. Stay with us. Back in just a moment. Welcome back to ESPN Speed World live coverage of the DeVilbiss 400 NASCAR Winston Cup race from Michigan Speedway. Being brought to you by Firestone and your neighborhood Firestone retailers with over 1,500 locations. By ATV Magazine's 1997 ATV of the Year, the Kawasaki Prairie 400 4x4. And by Valvoline Durablend, the #1 selling semi-synthetic motor oil. Well, we have some cars pitting, guys.
I believe that 18 car has visions of going from here to the end of the race, Ned.
It could be. That's 62 laps. That's a long way to go. Dale Earnhardt made pit stop. So did Mark Martin and Terry Labonte. Jerry Punch, what is the thinking down there?
Well, you guys are exactly right. I was standing beside Robert Yates a moment ago, and Robert just told Mark Reno, said, why don't we go ahead and bring Ernie in? Let's put 4 tires on, fill it full of fuel, get it completely full, and roll the dice. I believe we can make it. I asked Doug Gates, can you make it? And Doug said, Doc, I think we can. So we'll wait and see if indeed they bring Ernie Irvin in. We'll check in the Musgrave pit and see what their fuel mileage thinking is.
Well, they'd be stretching it to the line, though, wouldn't they?
Boy, they'd be stretching it to the absolute limit.
Yep. Now, we saw Steve Park go, what, 66, 67 laps here yesterday in a Busch car, but that's a 9.5 to 1 compression engine and doesn't burn quite as much fuel as one of these. Well, Ernie didn't come in that time.
Bill Weber standing by with Jimmy Makar.
Well, you were 3rd on the racetrack, and you decided to come in. Can you do it, Jimmy?
Well, it's not really an issue, not so much we can go all the way. It's an issue of getting our 4 tires on the car for the end of the race and only having to take gas only at the end. So we'll see if it forces anybody else to think about it or not. But we feel like you just never can tell with rain around like it is. Doesn't like it's going to rain it out. So we've got a few more laps to go racing and see what happens.
You have been one of the best at fuel mileage.
We'll see.
That's a big smile. I don't think they're stopping again.
You bring up a good point, though, Ned, that get their tires ready, so if they do have to stop, it'll just be for a splash of gas.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's good thinking. Plus the fact that it lets them go longer on this next green flag run. And, you know, we've had these showers come and go here today. And if it happens to catch them just right, it might work. John Kernan?
That's exactly the thinking by Robin Pemberton down for the Rusty Wallace crew, and also by Larry McReynolds for Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt was just on. Rusty was on pit road a lap or so ago. 4 tires, full fuel. Now they can go until 15 laps till the end. They only need a half of a can of gas. You're looking at somewhere about 6 seconds to fill it up to go the distance. Let's go down to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Let's check in with Musgrave's crew chief, James Winston. James, how far could you go? Can you roll the dice from here?
No, we're not willing to go do that right now, and I don't think anybody else can. So we're just going to sit tight here for a while.
What about the weather? What have you been told? A lot of people are guessing about if they come in now, will they have enough time to get back to the front because of the crowd, the clouds, and the surrounding shower?
Well, we're kind of in a bad position because we're leading this thing. We're watching the weather awful close, and we're just going to kind of play it from here on. And if we have to pit where it's going to go back racing, we'll just have to try to get back up there.
All right, James, into the Musgrave pit. What we're seeing down here in their calculation is that they could go at most 53 laps, so they have no prayer of coming in now and being able to make it the rest of the way. Also, Ernie Irvin's thoughts about pitting a moment ago, Robert Yates, was still sprinkling. They don't want to take a chance on coming down pit road until the rains completely stop, and they know the race will be restarted and don't have a chance to get those spots back. That's why they're staying out at least lap by lap for right now.
And so the drama continues to play out here as the caution is still hanging over Michigan Speedway. We'll be right back. The DeVilbiss 400 NASCAR Winston Cup race continues to run under caution here because of rain. You can see that there are still some raindrops falling, but it's not a hard rain at all, and the track is not very wet, so it shouldn't be too long before we go back to racing.
I'm telling you, you take all the raindrops that's falling on this racetrack, and they would fill up a peck bucket.
Yeah, you're right.
Just a drop every now and then, but just enough to keep the racetrack damp.
Yep. 17 cars on the lead lap at this point. The leader of the race is Ted Musgrave with Jeff Burton second, Ernie Irvin third, Bill Elliott fourth, and Jeff Gordon is in fifth position. So we have Fords in the top 4 position, and then Jeff Gordon in the Chevy. Ford has 12 wins this year, Chevy 8. And we will run down the leaderboard for you to show you where everybody else is running outside the top 5.
All on this page, 15 drivers are still on the lead lap. See where your favorite driver is there right now. And then if we look at the next page, there'll be 2 on that page that are on the lead lap, Terry Labonte and Jimmy Spencer.
Our pole sitter, Johnny Benson, is in 20th spot. Hutch Strickland back in 30th, just a lap down. Now these cars 2 laps down and more. Jerry Punch?
All right, let's update what's happening with Bill Elliott. They were thinking about rolling the dice a moment ago. Mike Beam was talking to Robert Yates, who came up pit road, and their calculations are that as Gordon comes down, their calculations are here in the McDonald's pit is they can go about 55 laps max so they're going to wait till lap 145 to come in, but others are lucky to come in right now.
And Ted Musgrave on pit road.
Along with Jeff Gordon and Ricky Craven, let's take a look at Ted's pit stop here.
Changing right sides, probably going to change the four, yes. Bringing the jack around, getting that windshield good and clean.
And the work also going on to Jeff Gordon. Now he's finished and rolls away, and so is Musgrave. But the cars are being held down there at the line until the field comes by. And of course, the field is only rolling at about 65 miles an hour, so it'll be a few seconds here before the paddle is turned around. There it is, and the drivers are allowed to go.
Looks like Ricky Craven will beat Musgrave off pit road. Jeff Gordon will fall in behind.
Ricky Craven had pulled up to the line first. Apparently, he didn't change all four tires on his Bud Chevrolet, and so he had beaten Ted Musgrave back to the line, and they held him up until all the other cars went by.
That's another car that may be gambling because he changed four tires on this caution flag when the rain started. He's in now for fuel, so he must be thinking about trying to go the rest of the distance.
We got 59 laps to go in this race. 141 have been completed. And Jerry Punch has another comment.
Boy, they are really going to roll the dice here in the Musgrave pit. They just told me that will be their final pit stop of the day. And what they're thinking is this. They've got it full of fuel. They know they can only go 52 laps under green, but with the caution still out, if they get 7 to 9 more laps of caution, that will have been their final stop of the day.
Dale Jarrett has come in for a stop. He continues to roll down the pit road at 65 miles an hour, now stopping.
Well, you wonder why he would stay out there that long when the others come in, because he's giving up a lot of track position. If he's going to come in, why not do it earlier? Maybe Todd Perry figured out, okay, we need to stay on the racetrack one more lap if we're going to have a shot at going the rest of the way. I don't know. That's just my speculation, but that's the only thing I can think of why they didn't come in when the others did.
Good and clean.
They need to leave the left side of that car jacked up so they can get every ounce of fuel in there that can possibly get. Well, it's jacked down now, but trying to get every bit of fuel in there they possibly can.
It was full to overflowing, wasn't it?
And look how easy he goes out of the pits. So, you know, a lot of times we see him go out of the pits and that fuel comes out that overflow pipe. You go out easy now to save every bit of it.
Down in the pit road, the paddle man, if that is Jimmy Cox, run over him.
Jerry?
Well, Ned, answering your question about why DJ stayed out, I just asked Todd Perry. He said, Doc, when we came by that time, that opened our window. We couldn't have stopped any earlier and made it the rest of the way. We had to wait until that lap right there to bring Dale Jarrett down pit road.
Jeff Burton now has the lead of the race. He has not come in during this, most recently in the caution period. Ted Musgrave did come in, so Jeff Burton is the leader, and Ernie Irvin is second in the DeVilbiss 400 at Michigan Speedway.
Bob Barchett, Road America. For the first time in more than a year, teammates will start from the front row of the PPG Kart World Series as Mauricio Gugelmin and Mark Blundell lead the way. Join us for the Texaco Haviland 200 following NASCAR here on ESPN.
20 laps have now been completed under caution. We went caution on lap 124, and we just completed the 144th lap. And the yellow light remains on top of the pace car, flashing. Well, let's remind you about some more racing coming up this coming week. The NASCAR Goodies Dash Series rolls into Langley Speedway in Hampton, Virginia. You can see it Wednesday at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 Pacific. Will Hopgood, third in the driver point standings, is the defending champion of that race. It was taped, I believe, last night and will be on Wednesday at 10 o'clock Eastern Time.
Mike Swain Jr. has won back in the spring, won 4 in a row Goodies Dash races. Brian Sockwell has won a couple of races in the Goodies Dash, and Charles Powell III won a Goodies Dash race. There's our leader, Jeff Burton. Is he going to stop? What do you think, Bill Weber? Is he going to stop?
they're thinking about it, Benny, actually their window will not open until there are 145 laps complete. And then when that window does open, well, it's pretty tight. I don't think you could get through that window, Benny. Their fuel mileage is not as good as some of the other guys down here. But when he does come in, which should be after lap 145, hey, that's the sun coming out up there.
And Weber, 145 is this lap.
Okay, well, that would be complete. So then he'd come around and maybe come in after, before he completes 146. But what they're concerned about is they absolutely, positively must top it off. So when Burton pits, they'll change the tires, and they'll put in the fuel, and then Buddy Parrott will stand in front of the car to make sure the fuel is totally full. The 28 car and the 94 pedaling down pit road toward Jerry Punch.
Oh, I believe the window down here for Ernie Irvin's big enough for Benny as Ernie Irvin comes down pit road, and that breeze you just felt a moment ago was the window opening for Bill Elliott as well. So both Elliott and Irvin will come in this lap, and as they will take the tearaways off Ernie Irvin's Texaco Havoline Ford. They will change all 4 tires. Likewise, very important to get it completely full of fuel. Left side tires, as it gets lighter and lighter and the sun tries to peek through, 1 can of gas going in Bill Elliott's car, 2nd can now going in Ernie Irvin's car. As now Ernie is down and away, and they get Elliott's car completely full of fuel, and they put a little tape on the front of McDonald's Ford, and now he will slowly make his way back down pit road.
And we saw him putting tape on McDonald's Ford. This evidently has cooled out. We're in a booth. It's air conditioning here. The temperature is constant, but evidently it's cooled down a little bit on pit road. And they feel like they can have the water temperature a little bit more, because that water on the front of the car, that tape on the front of the car, will help downforce. And that's so you don't push off the corners. They're trying to do a chassis adjustment with some tape on the 94 car. Hey, guys, is it cool down there?
Ha! Yeah, Benny, it's pretty cool down here, especially, you know, when you got this cool fire suit on.
Oh.
At least somebody told me it was a real cool suit I had on. So.
Oh, okay. Doc, is it cooled off down there or not?
Well, it's gotten a little bit cooler down here. It's just quite muggy and quite humid. And Mike Beam, we saw him putting tape on the grill. Was that more tape or just putting something back?
Well, we just put a little bit back, Jerry, but we added a little bit more to it. The cars, you know, we started so far back. We changed to the first time. We was fortunate to get that caution. But, you know, we're just going to see what happens here. The temperature's running pretty cool, you know, so I think for the sprint there, I think it'll be fine.
This morning in the garage, I heard you tell Bill, we're really going to put the gear in the car so late in the race you can jump in the throttle and run with them. You finished 2nd here in June. Do you have enough gear? Do you have enough oomph for the last few laps if we get back to green?
We definitely got enough gear. You know, the car's driving well. You know, like I said, we had to use the stuff up to get back to the front. And Bill's doing a great job. Ernie and his guys built a great motor. And so we're just going to see what happens here. If they keep running caution here, we can make it. You know, we gambled to stay out there as late as we could. So, you know, I think we're just going to roll the dice here and see what happens.
All right, from Bill Elliott to the brothers Labonte. Let's go up to Bill.
And they both stopped for gas. All they did was top off and headed back out. So you can count on the 18 and the 5 both being able to finish without another stop for fuel.
And now I believe the only 2 cars that have not stopped are Burton and Jeff Bodine, who has moved up to 2nd position here. Derek Cope is 3rd. Ken Schrader is 4th, and Rusty Wallace is in 5th position. We will set the field when we come back here at Michigan Speedway. The drivers have been told that if the weather continues to hold, they're going back to racing in about 3 laps. Back at Michigan, where Jeff Burton relinquishes the lead and comes in for a stop. Here is on pit road, Bill Weber.
And this will be his final stop. They wanted to wait as long as they possibly could. Now, co-car chief Frank Stoddard told us yesterday this team has been to Michigan 3 times, and all 3 times they have run out of gas. They want to make sure that does not happen here today. Rusty Wallace is in and out on pit road. They come around to the left side on the X-side Ford of Burton. He gets in the car. The fuel is the critical thing here. They'll tighten the lug nuts on all 4 tires. Darrell Waltrip is on pit road. The 42 car also on pit road. The 4 tires are on Burton's car. They top off the fuel. They top it again. They hit it again. Jeff Burton leaves. Can he make it to the end? We'll have to see.
Time will tell.
The way they were putting gas in that car, it's going to be awfully close on Jeff Burton. If they so opportunity, goes green flag for 50 laps. They were trying to put every last drop of gasoline they could in that car.
I think there's going to be, if this thing goes green for the rest of the way, there are going to be some nervous people in the pit and probably on the racetrack too. Some of them will make it. Some of them probably won't.
That's right.
Well, the 17 car just topped off also. And Darrell Waltrip has always been a fuel meister, and he's having a very good run here this afternoon.
They're pouring the gasoline out of the catch can, back in the cans. So they'll measure and see exactly how much gasoline they got in there. Bill Weber?
That's exactly right, Benny. They're taking the fuel from the catch can, pouring it back into the dump can. Then they'll take off the nozzle off that dump can. Then they'll put it on a scale. Then they'll weigh it. And through the weight per, or pounds per gallon, they'll determine how much weight they dumped into that car. That tells them how much fuel they used. And then they'll know how much is in that Excite Ford. And I'm telling you, that thing is full, John Kernan.
Hey, Bill, I was checking the radar at the NASCAR truck in the garage a little while ago. I talked to Jeff Hammond with Darrell Waltrip's team, and Jeff said if we make it under caution to 148, we'll top off. We can go the rest of the way. Of course, VW and them have always been known for getting really good fuel mileage, so that's why they came in and topped off. Also, Robin Pemberton told me we can't begin to think about coming in and topping off until we get to about lap 148. Well, 148 up on the board, they came in, topped the car off, so they should be good to go.
And now getting the lead, because Burton came in for a pit stop, is Jeff Bodine in car number 7. He's only led one lap. He started back in 10th position and finished second, of course, last week at Watkins Glen. Well, today at 5:30 here on ESPN, that's 2:30 Pacific time, you can tune in and see the finals of the Pilot Pin Nationals from New Haven, Connecticut. Who's going to be in that match there, BP?
I don't know. Looks like a European might be playing somebody from the Great Britain.
Yevgeny Kapelnikov against Patrick Rafter.
Oh, is that
for your information?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, you didn't see that? Okay. Yeah, right. Anyway, that's at 5:30 this afternoon Eastern Time. The raindrops continue to fall here at Michigan, further delaying the start or the restart of this race. Another car rolling down the pit road is Dale Earnhardt. They're going to change some tires, John Kernan.
Going to put 4 tires on, fill them up with gasoline. Also put a little more tape over the grill. What that'll do, that will put a little more downforce on the front nose of the car so it'll turn a little bit better. The left, right sides are on. They come around to the left side, making sure that they get every drop of fuel in it. Chocolate Myers with the gas can. And the tires going on the left side. You can hear the lugs being tight. Now they're making sure that the tape is secure on the front of the grill. And looks like there might have to put a little bit more on it because it got it just a little bit askew. It wasn't exactly flush the way they wanted. So now they'll put a little more tape on that car.
They don't have to worry about beating somebody out of the pits. He's the only one in the lead lap that's in the pits right now, so they don't really have to rush trying to beat somebody out.
In fact, it's probably smart that they take their time and do everything the way they want it done. 49 laps to go.
You mean 39 laps to go?
He's right,
49 laps to go.
Now, Earnhardt has only been running 45 laps on the flat out run.
Well, during the week, NASCAR Online provides the latest news on all 12 of NASCAR's touring divisions, as well as NASCAR's top teams. Updated daily on NASCAR Online. Statistics, race recaps, and previews of what's coming up. That's NASCAR Online at www.nascar.com.
Got to fix my glasses. I thought that said 161 up there. 5 to go. Signal from the flagman. 5 laps to go.
We've heard that before, but let's hope that it's the real thing this time. In the meantime, yep, there is the indication of 5 more laps to green. Take a look at a field rundown for you. The leader is Jeff Bodine, with Craven running in 2nd position. Mark Martin has come from 2 laps down to run in 7th position at the moment. Bill Elliott is 10th. And we have 17 cars that are still on the lead lap here, 16 through 30.
See, after Earnhardt made his pit stop, he went to the rear of the line as far as those on the lead lap. A lot of good cars there that are a lap down. So those guys will be racing with each other and have that strategy going as well.
And Brett Bodine also one lap down. He's right in front of the leader, though, in jeopardy of going that second lap down. And the only car officially out of the race, Sterling Marlin. Wow. Well, those 43rd place finishes will just kill you in the point standings. Yeah.
So the Irish Hills have been a little unkind here to us today in terms of rain. However, the radar indicates that the showers are moving to the east, and there is nothing to the west or the northwest from which the precipitation has come today. And so hopefully here in just a while we can get the green back out and stay that way the rest of the time. We'll be right back with more. Doing a great job of keeping the track dry so that when it does stop raining, we can go back to green almost immediately.
Well, that's one reason that NASCAR kept the cars on the racetrack. They were afraid if they parked them on pit road through the red flag that they'd lose the racetrack. That what water came in would just simply get the racetrack so damp it would take forever to dry it off. This way, with the cars on the racetrack, they kept it to the point is.
In fact, if we continue as we are right now with no rain falling, we will go back to green in 3 laps. The leader of the race is Jeff Bodine, and Jeff is a former winner here at Michigan. He won this race, the August race, back in 1994, and has 7 top 5s in the 31 races that he has participated in here. Ricky Craven is now being shown in second. There he goes. Third is Musgrave. And fourth is Jeff Gordon.
.46 laps. Right now, the next time might be 45 laps to the end of the race.
At the end of this race, we invite you to turn over to ESPN2, where you can catch a NASCAR Shop Talk with special guest Jeff Burton. That's at 3:30 Eastern Time over on the Deuce.
2.5 laps or 2 laps when the cars come by this time. Until green flag racing.
The Shop Talk will not run at 3:30. It will run at the conclusion of this race because we want to give you an opportunity to watch the race and see Shop Talk. So it'll be on ESPN2 at the conclusion of this race, not necessarily at 3:30, because needless to say, we are going to go over the scheduled 3:30 off time. 2 laps to go to green, and this time I really believe it. We're going to take a final break. When we come back, the green flag should be just around the corner.
We're just 1 lap away from going back to green here at Michigan Speedway, and the leader, Jeff Bodine, has ducked onto pit road for gasoline. They've also made a chassis adjustment in the left rear. Jeff giving up the lead. He was the only car that had not pitted. He had to pit to take fuel on to make it the rest of the way. The crew had been banking on the rain staying in the area, but now that it looks like the rain is going to leave the area, Jeff had no choice. With 1 lap to go before we go back to green, he had to duck onto pit road and top off so he could make it the rest of the way.
And that puts Ricky Craven in the lead. You can see that Jeremy Mayfield also made a pit stop, and he's getting those tires clean this time.
That's exactly what we're talking about. Jeff Burton, back early in the race, on the restart, goes down in turn 1, had some debris on the tire, some buildup, and the car skated across the racetrack. So you see all those cars weaving back and forth, trying to clean those tires as much as they possibly can.
Craven led at Indianapolis a couple of weeks ago, is leading here at this time. His best finish of the season was in Daytona, the very first race of the year, where he and the Hendrick teammates ran 1, 2, 3. He ended up 3rd. Let's give you a field summary now as we get set to go back to racing, hopefully. Jimmy Spencer is up there in 4th position.
Here's 16 through 30 now. Jeff drops back to the 16th spot.
Here we got two more cars in the lead lap. Technically, Robbie Gordon and Hutch Strickland are right in front of the leader. They're almost a lap down, but they are on the lead lap.
Well, here we go. The pace car is off the racetrack, and the crowd rises to its feet and cheers as the green comes out, and we are back to racing at Michigan Speedway.
Is coming like a bullet in the 16 car. Dives down to the inside of Craven, trying to take the lead on the start finish on the front stretch.
Well, Musgrave had his fast car before the long yellow, and he has a fast car after the long yellow. He takes the lead right at the line, and Craven goes back to second position. That's Jeff Green now to the inside of Ricky. And also coming up on the outside of the racetrack is Jeff Gordon, who's running third. Earnhardt and Wallace are battling.
Battling back about the 14th, 15th position as Earnhardt goes to the inside.
Here comes Darrell Waltrip.
There's Jeff Burton. He tries to work his way back towards the front. He's back in 15th spot now.
Go to the low side and almost go 3 wide through the corner. Johnny Benson has to slam on the brakes to keep from hitting John Andretti. A lot of fast cars back here in the middle of the pack as they try to move up.
Late pit stops. Taking home enough fuel to go the rest of the way.
Spencer got up into the wall, came high off the fourth corner, and got up into the turn 4 wall, but no caution. Slowing him down, though.
Yes, he's flat in the right side of the Campbell car.
Has to be very concerned. Is the fender in against the tire? Let's see if we can see what happens. He is on the left side of the screen, and Joe Nemechek coming up behind him as they come off the turn, and wow, he got into the wall pretty good.
Sure did. It was more than a brush of the wall. He hit it pretty good. Another angle from our speed shot located just off the fourth corner. There it is.
Car got a little bit loose as he came off the corner. Nemechek pulled up behind him, took the air off.
And Wally Dallenbach is slow down the backstretch, and depending upon how fast he's going and where he is, we could have a caution if he doesn't make it all the way around.
The music to Robbie Gordon's ears, because right now he is still in front of Ted Musgrave, the leader.
Yep, still on the lead lap in 18th position, running ahead of Musgrave.
Dale Jarrett trying to work by the 96 car, David Green. Caution flag is out as for the 46 car, I'm sure.
Yeah, you saw the guys up on the track flash by Dallenbach, who's very close to being stopped if he isn't, over in turn number 3. And so the caution is out on the 162 lap. And Robbie Gordon stayed on the lead lap and now gets to go all the way around.
So that'll make 18 cars on the lead lap.
Puts Jeff Gordon in second spot, right behind Ted Musgrave, the leader.
There is Robbie as he goes all the way around the racetrack now.
Did a good job of staying out there.
Get caught up good. Get caught up good. Catch the pack first. I don't know if it's open yet. It's open yet. Step forward.
Robbie confirming that the pits are
caught up. Keep digging, my man. Keep digging.
Open.
Did a hell of a job, Rob.
Might as well put new tires on. Hell, we did last.
Felix said put some good tires on.
They got about 4 laps on them under the green, and they're a good set. I don't have another set to match up that good. I was driving good there.
Mike Gilman tell me.
Okay, pit road is open.
Felix.
Four. Erwin, we got to find out who he lines up behind on the restart.
Now there's a wrecker down there.
That was one of his teammates that allowed him to get that lap back. Robbie Gordon got his lap back, but Wally Dallenbach is the one that brought out the caution. So teammates working for him.
We've seen that a few times this afternoon, haven't we?
Really have.
Coming down in. Okay, he's on pit road.
Robbie Gordon, one pit stall away. Now he's in. The crew will come out. They're going to look at the tires, clean them off. Mike Hillman puts a little tape on the front air dam. That's off the grill section. That's to put a little more downforce, just like Earnhardt's crew did. Put a little more force on the front end. That'll make it turn a lot better in the corners. Gasoline going in. Now they
pack it full. Pack it full.
And there's
all right, let him go.
So they packed it full. You heard Mike Hillman said pack it full. Robbie carefully leaves his pit so he doesn't spill as much gas out. He is good to go the rest of the way.
Yeah, he doesn't have any problems, John. With only about 37 more laps to go, he should be in great shape.
There's team owner Felix Sabatis. Let's go to Jerry Punch and find out why Dallenbach stopped over there in the backstretch.
Well, Bob, the continuing problem for Wally Dallenbach, Brad Hopsinger said we're now on our third battery and our second alternator in the First Union Chevrolet. The car just quit coming off turn 2, so they have him on pit road. They're putting now another battery in the car and changing the amplifiers inside the box right behind Wally Dallenbach, the ignition system there. But once again, Wally on pit road.
All three of the Team Sapco drivers recorded their best finishes of 1997 at the Glen last week. Robbie Gordon was 4th, Wally Dallenbach 10th, and Joe Nemechek had his best finish, a 12th position. Under caution once again here in Michigan. Back in just a moment.
Road America, the most hairy-chested road course on the PPG Kart World Series. Join us for live flag-to-flag coverage of round 14 of the Run for the Cup, the Texaco Havoline 200, coming up next here on ESPN.
Overhead shot once again of Michigan Speedway here in Brooklyn, the southern part of the state in the Irish Hills. Well, the NHRA champion Auto Stores Nationals from Brainerd International Raceway in Minnetonka, Minnesota, is on the deuce today at 5 o'clock. They, of course, are in their final tune-up before the U.S. Nationals down in Indianapolis Raceway Park. So check out the champion Auto Stores Nationals in Minnesota. Jeremy Mayfield has had a pretty good run here today, although he is at the moment 2 laps down, but he, after 20 races, is doing much better this year than last year. He is 12 positions better in the points, has recorded 1 more top 5 and 5 more top 10, and that DNF list is very, very important. 3 a total of last year, and so far this year only 2. As I mentioned earlier, that car looks a little different this week. They're emphasizing Kmart, which is headquartered in Troy, Michigan, over by Detroit.
You can see by Jeremy Mayfield diving down to the inside that we will be going green next time by. Cars not on the lead lap will go on the inside, the right side of your screen. Cars on the lead lap to the left side of your screen.
Ted Musgrave continuing to lead with Jeff Gordon in second, and Ricky Craven, Mark Martin, and Ernie Irvis. Those are your top 5. And the restart will come out on lap 167 at the conclusion of 166 laps.
These caution flags should make it, I don't think anyone will have any fuel problems making to the end of the race with all the caution flags we've had since we're able to put fuel in the cars.
Yeah, that should pretty well solidify everybody being able to make it now.
Yates, Hendrick, and Roush in the top 6 as we get set to go back under the green flag. Heel over in turn number 4. We've had 7 leaders so far here this afternoon. 17 lead changes.
inside Musgrave.
That puts him back technically on the lead lap. 19th position. Trying to dive to the inside. They're 3 wide coming off the corner. It's Kyle Petty in the middle.
Still inside.
And Rusty Wallace, Kenny Schrader, the 33 car, was able to go on the outside. And here we go for the lead. Musgrave trying to get by the lap car of Jeff Green. Meanwhile, Jeff Gordon's trying to push him by so he can take the lead. And he might have it down in turn 1.
And Jeff Gordon, yes, gets the lead in turn 1.
But look at Mark Martin coming. Ted Musgrave looks up in his mirror and says, hey, I got some help. That Chevrolet, the 29 Chevrolet and the 24 Chevrolet, Jeff Gordon worked together, and he said, give me that Ford. Here it comes.
Teammates work together all afternoon. And here now is Mark Martin going 3 deep.
What's this, gang? Martin comes off with the lead.
Passing
2 laps down.
Passing both Musgrave and Gordon. Yep, a flat left rear put Martin 2 laps down at one time. And look where he is again, in front. With just 31 laps to go. And now Mark will put Jeff Green a lap down.
He'll try to anyway. Jeff Green hanging tough. There's Jeff Gordon with him.
He's going to try to help him again. Those 2 Chevrolets working together.
But here comes Musgrave down to the low side to maybe help Mark.
There comes the 2.
Yep.
And Bobby Labonte, he's a single team member. He's been running good all day. Boy, Ernie tried to run up under there. But this is not the place to do it.
And now Dale Jarrett becomes a factor. 5 drivers here going for the lead. And the lap car of Jeff Green. Make that 6 because Labonte is right there.
And Mark Martin's going to lose the lead down at 1 if he's not careful.
Well, he's having a tough time getting around that 29.
He gets a good run off the corner. He just can't pull back in front of the 29 car.
Talked about horsepower at the beginning of the show and how you need horsepower to make the move and pass. And there, Mark Martin did put Jeff Green right down, and Jeff Gordon followed.
Bobby Labonte comes up on the outside of Dale Jarrett to take the 5th place. Tries to.
Here comes Musgrave to the inside of Jeff Green. It's 3:30 Eastern Time, and for those of you who have tuned in to see the CART PPG race, the Texaco Havoline 200 from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, we will join them at the conclusion of this race. However, we can tell you that you're not missing anything because it is raining, and raining to the point that they cannot get that race started up at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. There are puddles and ponds on the track, and so they are not running in Elkhart Lake. You won't miss a thing. Stay with us.
And we see the leader, Mark Martin, clearly the fastest car on the racetrack right now, 180 miles per hour that last lap.
Here comes Bobby Labonte and Dale Jarrett. Old Jeff screen just couldn't hold on, could he?
Well, he put up a gallant effort.
He sure did. He was overwhelmed, however.
Bill Elliott, Dale Earnhardt back in 7th, 8th. Ricky Craven has moved back to 9th. As you can see, Terry Labonte up in 10th spot.
And Mark Martin is pulling out in front of Jeff Gordon. The lead is almost a half second.
Well, you see the spread on the racetrack. That is 1/2 second. That he's 6/10 of a second, so he gained about a 10th of a second that time.
And here are Burton, Labonte, and Craven racing for position.
And remember, Jeff Burton was back towards the back of the pack after making a late pit stop under the and he has been one of the fastest cars all day.
8th, 9th, and 10th.
The Collins car moves up in front of his teammate, Ricky Craven. As we ride along with Ricky Craven. Rusty Wallace also follows. He's currently in the 12th spot. Down the corner, backs off the gas. Gets the car turned, they'll get back on the gas.
Continues to check on out.
He's now 8/10 of a second in front of Jeff Gordon. Picked up another 10th of a second that last lap.
Show you the intervals once again. At the line, there it's 89/100ths of a second from first to second.
Picked up another 9/100ths of a second that last lap, so he's slowly moving out.
On-track interval will show you how Mark Martin has pulled away from Jeff Gordon.
Check it out, 39.9, 2 laps, 40.02 laps. So Mark Martin is very, very consistent, and Jeff Gordon consistent, but consistently about a 10th of a second slower than Mark Martin.
I think that's the first time today that we've seen cars running that in the 39-second bracket. It's cooler now. Now it's time to go. Got anything left, you got to put it forward.
Later in June, NASCAR used their chassis dyno and dynoed some cars. I think it's one of Yates' cars, the 24 car of Jeff Gordon, and the 3 car of Dale Earnhardt. And NASCAR never releases that, but I was told that Jeff Gordon has at least 4 pounds weight. Maybe it doesn't hard to do, but could be. Again, we aren't talking about big numbers. You know, we're probably talking about 4 or 5 horsepower is all the difference we have in these cars.
Race for 5th.
This race led only 8 laps last year, but led the final 8 to take the win. Again, we remind you that the CART PPG race at Texaco Haviland 200 up in Wisconsin, Elkhart Lake, is also under a rain delay. We will be switching there at the conclusion of this race. However, it hasn't started because of rain.
These cars running side by side have allowed Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt to catch up to them.
Now finally, Jarrett is able to get by Labonte.
Jarrett moves to 5th. The 8th place car, Dale Earnhardt. point standings coming in, 260 behind the leader, Jeff Gordon. Fifth, sixth, and while we watch this, we can tell you that the interval between first and second has now grown to over 1 second. But Gordon has his hands full with Ted Musgrave.
He sure does. Musgrave's Family Channel car has been very, very good today. Unfortunately, picked today that Mark Martin was just terrific.
That is back in 12th, 13th, and 14th. Darrell Walters told us before the race started that he had a good car, and he's been in the lead lap all day, now running 14th.
You see Mark Martin still the fastest car out there at 178.9.
Here's Dale Earnhardt making a move on the 8th place car of Jeff Burton.
Oh, maybe it's the other way around. The 99 making a move on.
But in any case, Burton is 8th and Earnhardt is 9th.
Yeah. Burton continues his charge on towards the front. Not too far back to do anything with the lead, but still gaining positions.
Yeah, right now, he's about 6 seconds behind the leader, Mark Martin.
First, third, and 8th. Jeff Gordon separating himself just a little bit from Ted Musgrave.
Yes, we can see. It's just amazing. Mark Martin had a flat left rear tire back on about the 86th lap. 86th lap, lost 2 laps to get in the pits. To get into the pits, the tire shredded and wrapped itself around the axle housing. So it cost him 2 laps to get in the pits, get in the tire change. And he was able to get both those laps back. And now has the lead.
Look back there for the 4th place car. There's Ernie Irvin. Is Ernie closing on the 16, or how's that stacking up?
Well, it wouldn't appear so. Going the other direction.
Yeah, it's going the other direction. Absolutely. Losing. In fact, Dale Jarrett's gaining on Ernie Irvin.
It was 1.3 seconds, the interval between Musgrave and Irvin on lap 179, and lap 183, it's 2.2 seconds.
I would think if Dale Jarrett could get by Ernie Irvin quickly, then he may be able to run Musgrave down, because he is very fast right now. But it's correct, he's getting by Ernie Irvin quickly.
He's running a little bit lower line than most of them, and that's sort of a characteristic of his car. He likes that low line. It seems to be working for him right now. But that 28 car would be a pretty good choice.
And we remind you that the kart race is under a rain delay in Elkhart Lake. We'll be switching there at the conclusion of this DeVilbiss 400, which has only 13 laps to go. While we watch 4th and 5th position, we can tell you that Mark Martin's advantage over Jeff Gordon is now 1.2 seconds.
And Gordon's advantage on Ted Musgrave is 0.8 of a second.
Ernie Irvin, of course, won here in June. One of the fastest cars all day has been Jeff Burton. Since his restart, he has gained about 7 positions. He was 15th on lap 167 and now runs 8th. Jeff Burton has 8 top 10 finishes in the last 12 events and has another one going here this afternoon. Rusty Wallace, Ricky Craven, and Ken continue to run in the 11th, 12th, and 13th spots. we'll show you where everybody is running, as a matter of fact. Craven looking up on the top side of Rusty.
And Schrader looking on the bottom side of Craven. Wow. Close competition.
Now a 1.5-second advantage for Mark Martin.
And Craven trying to go on the outside of Rusty Wallace.
Whoa, Rusty got a little loose coming out of the corner.
I would imagine that 25 car pulled up on the outside like that. It took the air off the rear spoiler and made that back end very, very light.
Well, Ricky Craven has had a good run here this afternoon.
He is a good run. He's had some tough luck.
And he's got position on Rusty Wallace. He's got that outside, and he takes that spot away from Rusty Wallace.
So moves Ricky up to the 11th position. It's just outside your scoring pylon up there on the top left. Now here comes Schrader to the bottom side of Rusty Wallace.
We've seen it all day. It worked so well for those cars up there.
Once again, we see the 88 and the 18 battling for position for 5th.
Actually, right in front of him there's Ernie Irvin. So you got 5th, 6th, and 7th, or 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Back up front with now less than 9 laps to go. It is Mark Martin by 1.3 seconds over Jeff Gordon. Make that 1.4 seconds over Jeff Gordon.
Mark Martin evidently right now is slowing down just a little bit because it was a second and a half a few laps ago, so Jeff Gordon has closed in 1/10 of a second.
Battle for 7th position between Bill Elliott in 94 and Jeff Burton in 99. Coming up on Jimmy Spencer, who is not on the lead lap. He is the first car not on the lead lap in 23rd position.
On the lead lap before he got to the flag.
The CART PPG Texaco Haviland 200 coming up at the conclusion of our race, but they are under a rain delay. Apparently it's raining a lot harder there than it did here. We have standing water apparently on the racetrack at Elkhart Lake. But when we finish with our telecast, we'll be switching there so they can tell you exactly what is going on and what may happen in the next couple of hours.
7th spot, Jeff Burton. Can he do it? No. Once again, you get that bad angle getting in the corner, you realize the best thing you do is back off.
Yep, by about half a car length.
That's been the last lap that had the position. But Elliott's been running that high line pretty good today. It pinches him down. Makes that corner a little bit shorter for Burton. That's killing his chances, Burton, of catching that 4th, 5th, and 6th place group up there.
Bill Elliott's best finish of the year came here in the June race. Finished second to Ernie. As Mark Martin now has less than 5 laps to go. Mark, of course, comes in here second in the point standings. And if points were being awarded right now, Mark Martin would be within 99 of Jeff Gordon.
They pick up 10 points, 5 for leading the most laps, and 5 for first and second. So a little bit helps.
You bet. There is how they would shake out. Everybody would stay in the same position that he entered the race, but Mark would close the gap between himself and Jeff Gordon. Just an incredible run win here today from this driver from Batesville, Arkansas.
Still 1.4 seconds between first and second spot. And that battle still rages for the 7th spot.
He's not been able to get around Elliott.
He's trying.
Yep, going low again. Pulling up alongside Elliott.
Up in front of him, there's a battle for the 4th.
And he's able to lead at the line, but Elliott up on the top side of the racetrack is always able to pull back ahead.
And Earnhardt, seeing this, is trying to get up there so he can try to pass both of them.
If they get side by side, that's going to really help him pick up some draft, and he might shoot right up to pass both of them at once.
Now it's only 1.1 from a second between Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon.
But coming up on just 2 laps to go. We'll show you the intervals at the line. It's 1.43 seconds. Mark Martin has already won twice this year at Sears Point and at Talladega. Quite a bit of racetrack back here to the 4th, 5th, and 6th positions.
Well, they've been going at it. Garrett got it beside of Ernie 2 laps ago. Couldn't pull it off.
On board with Bobby Labonte.
Bobby's just sitting there waiting for those guys to make any kind of mistake.
And the white flag has just come out for Mark Martin. Less than 2 miles to go for Mark as we continue to watch this battle. Back here, and we have Hut Strickland slowing down the backstretch. He's running in 26th position, or was.
Probably out of gas.
That's Jerry Bradbury in the 78 car that lets Mark go right on by.
Mark Martin is up. And the checkered flag is waving from 2 laps down. Mark Martin wins the DeVilbiss 400 at Michigan, his 3rd win here at this racetrack. And his 21st career win, his 12th on a super speedway. And there's celebration in the Jack Roush pits.
I'll tell you what, when that car came down pit road and left their corner up, I bet you didn't think it was going to land. John Kernan?
Well, handshakes all around, and Steve Neal, man, what a performance from 2 laps down to victory. Congratulations.
Yeah, we had to catch a caution good. We had a good race car, and it kept raining. The strategy, we felt like we had a good car on old tires, and we were getting terrific fuel mileage. Jack's done a great job on the fuel mileage. So we decided when we saw those like 58 or 60 to go, we'd come get our tires and our fuel, and when those guys that were in front of us came, they'd be behind us on the racetrack. If we got the clean air, we thought we were gone. It was a bit of a nail-biter at the end, but we're real tickled.
How much of a thank you guys is Mark going to give to your teammate Jeff Burton for letting him get that lap back?
Well, Jeff's a real good race car driver. He saw it was raining in 1, and he didn't want to bring the field down into 1 too awful fast, so he was being real considerate of the rest of the cars and slowed down real early, and fortunately for us, Mark got by him.
All right. Crew heading up to victory lane.
With his 21st win, Roush Racing, by the way, led 177 of the 200 laps today. With his 21st win, Mark moves to 22nd on the all-time win list, and he is now tied with Jack Smith and a guy named Benny Parsons. Victory lane in a moment.
Here is our situation. We have had heavy rain since this morning. It is clearing to the west of us. We expect it to clear up shortly, and we expect to get this race underway. For the moment, we are waiting. We'll be coming your way immediately following the conclusion of the Winston Cup race at Michigan. Back to Bob Jenkins.
All right, thank you, Bob Barsha. We are back here at Michigan Speedway, where the DeVilbiss 400 has just concluded. ESPN Speed World live coverage from Michigan Speedway. It's being brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. At Napa, we keep America running. By McDonald's, the official drive-thru of NASCAR. And designed by the all-new wide-track Grand Prix by Pontiac. Wider is better. Mark Martin wins by 2 seconds over Jeff Gordon. Let's go to our McDonald's Winner's Circle interview. Here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
Our McDonald's drive-through winner's circle, and before a massive crowd here in Michigan, Mark Martin is the man with magic. Jack Roush coming in to congratulate him, and Steve Meal. Oh, but Mark, congratulations. What an effort.
Oh, man. I wanted to win this thing so bad. I thought I saw it go up in smoke when that tire let loose. But I just want to thank, I thank Valvoline and Cummins and Bugles and Bosch, Ford. Goodyear had a great tire. This car setup didn't ever need. I could have run 400 miles on a set of tires, I think, today. They were so good. But especially thank Jack Roush. He's the man forever. And Steve Meal and Jimmy Finnig. He got this car set up so that thing would just keep on going.
What happened with the tire? Did you know you hit something, or you just cut it down? Do you have any idea what may have happened?
I felt it get a little bit funny feeling on the front straightaway, and I slightly eased into one, and that's the only way I saved it. It was all over the place when I got into the corner. Totally out of control. In fact, I couldn't figure out why it kept getting like that, because I was slowed down enough. I thought I should control it, and I still was out of control. So, yeah, we came back from it. We had the car to do it today. Now I think I know how that kid feels on Sunday a lot. I had the car today. He's usually got the car, but we had the program today. We had the fuel mileage. We had everything we needed to win this thing.
This is the kind of day, though, that can carry you possibly to a Winston Cup championship. Is this your year?
We're serious about it, and I hope this shows it today.
All right, Mark Martin in Victory Lane talking about that kid, how that kid feels. Well, that kid is Jeff Gordon. Let's hear from him.
Well, another great performance, and I believe I heard you say this was almost like a win. You started back in the field and got to the front.
It really was to us because, I mean, nobody had anything for Mark, and I was actually pretty surprised I could stay ahead of Ted. You know, so today was a great finish for us. You know, we weren't very good on new tires, but we were really pretty good on old tires, and I thought if we could just get some track position, you know, maybe we can hang with them. But I believe Mark was just toying with everybody. Once he got out front, he pretty much had control of the race, and I think he watched his mirror more than what was going on in front of him.
11 to go, 99 in front.
Yeah, you know, today really was a big day for us because as dominant as Mark was, he could have made up a whole lot more than what he did. So, you know, we're just glad to get out of here with a good, strong second and go on to the short track.
See you, Bristol.
Yeah, man, that's what I'm looking forward to.
That's Jeff Gordon to John Kernan.
With Ted Musgrave, whose teammate is in Victory Lane, but Ted's back here at the gas pump celebrating a third-place finish. Ted, not too bad for a day's work.
Oh, no, that's really good. You know, anytime you can bring that Family Channel Prime Star car in the top 5, you know, that's point standings. That's what we need to do. And my hat's off. I'm glad a teammate won, you know, and I was getting a little sick of Jeff winning a lot. You know, I'm glad to see Mark win it. And Mark, let's share that motorcycle. I wanted that bad. I want to win bad, but I didn't have the car. You know, we had a really, really good car. But my car was a little tight in the center of the corner, and Mark was really freed up and was able to get in the gas sooner. And that's what it takes to win here at Michigan. He could place that car and point it in the right direction sooner, and I couldn't get in the gas a little bit sooner. And like I say, there was no way to stop him then. You know, I was kind of a sit and duck, and I wasn't going to hold him up because I know Jeff is fast, too.
But in order to pick up that first win, this is where you need to be. Top 3s, top 5 finishes. The consistency's getting there, so that first win must not be too far off.
Well, yeah, we said that a couple years ago when I was running top 3s and top 5s. And, yeah, I keep saying that, you know, hey, if we can stop, you know, keep running top 3s, top 5s, and keep in that area, yeah, sure, you know, something's going to happen. You're going to get it. You know, they wiggle like Jeff did on the restart, and you get by, and off you go. You know, I've seen Michael Waltrip do it in the Winston. You know, that's all it takes is something like that. But you got to be in that position, and we're getting there.
Ted Musgrave definitely getting there with the third-place finish today.
Well, one of the key moments in this race came on the 86th circuit as Mark Martin was in the lead, but going into turn number 2, well, the left rear tire started to go down. The car wiggled. He saved it a couple of times. The tire completely flat now. He drives it clear around to the pits where the shredded tire was taken off, and they had to pull some of that tire out from the brakes. Well, from 2 laps down, Mark Martin comes home a winner here in the DeVilbiss 400 at Michigan Speedway. Jerry Punch is with his teammate.
Well, third member of Team Roush, and I think Mark Martin owes you probably maybe at least half that motorcycle. You were a big help getting that lap back.
Well, that's part of being a team. You know, if I was in that position, he would have done the same thing. We wanted it to come down between the Roush cars. We thought they were the, you know, the 3 best cars out here, and to see him cut a tire and take himself out of position, that's, you know, that's racing luck. But if we can change that racing luck, that's what we'll go do.
All right, a great day for Team Roush. All 3 of them finishing in the top 10. Bob?
Let's take a look at the results of this race, the unofficial finish. Musgrave finished 3rd. Ernie Irvin and Dale Jarrett, the teammates, coming home 4th and 5th.
Bobby Labonte, a good run. Bill Elliott, Jeff Burt was the Earnhardt back in 9th. Terry Labonte, Jeff Bodine, Ricky Craven. Jeff Bodine came into 11th spot. Rusty Wallace, Kenny Schrader, and Darrell Waltrip in the lead lap, 15th.
Well, there were 17 cars on the lead lap. Derek Cope and Robbie Gordon made out 16th and 17th, and a lot of good cars that were 1 lap down. You see them on your screen there. Kyle Petty was one of those. So most of the cars finished today. In fact, there were only a couple of cars out, Wally Dallenbach and Sterling Marlin.
We never see a lot of cars drop out of the race here, and that certainly was the case today. Only Dallenbach and Marlin were out at the conclusion. So Mark Martin gains a little bit. He's 99 points behind Jeff Gordon. As we now move to the Bristol Speedway, Musgrave gained 3 positions, Elliott 1, and Mayfield lost 2. Qualifying at Bristol will be on Friday at 5:30 on the Deuce. The Food City 250 Busch Series race at 7:30. Then Saturday NASCAR Today is at 7 o'clock, and our coverage of the Goodies Headache Counter 500 live at 7:30 from the high banks of Bristol. Coming up next, the PBG kart race from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. The Texaco Haviland 200 over on the Deuce. You can tune in to hear Shop Talk. So we'll look forward to seeing you then next Friday and Saturday nights at Bristol Motor Speedway. For John Kernan, Jerry Punch, Bill Weber, Ned Jarrett, and Benny Parsons, I'm Bob Jenkins. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.